Our story begins with a student walking home. The light turns green, so he crosses the street. Suddenly, a bright light appears distantly, followed by a very long honk. He's looking again. A big truck speeds toward the student bank. The student opens his eyes wide. He's already been in another world almost a year. He first arrived to this new world. He cried alone, fearing and wanting to escape. After learning he could still get home, he got himself together, formed many new bonds. They fought together in another world, maintaining the justice and also balance. Their relationship became more than friendship. He thought he was finally strong enough. A friend sacrificed himself before his eyes. The dying companion said with tears, "You gotta win, brave warrior." He understood only by becoming strongest could he possibly protect everything. So in one short year, he became the strongest warrior here. He carried his companion's hopes toward defeating the Demon King. The Demon King resided behind this great door. He finished his final letter, then slowly stood and pushed the door. He hoped to defeat the Demon King and restore his normal life. He finally defeated the Demon King, saving the world. The scene is back in the kingdom. He's surrounded by many people. They're calling him brave warrior. Free and in the palace, everyone is drinking wine happily, but the young man looks somewhat lost. The priest beside him gently asks, "Great warrior, you will return tomorrow." The young man replies, "Arriving here, I never imagined this day." But the priest suddenly embraces the young man, then softly comforts him, "You did great. You really did amazing." Hearing that, the young man cries uncontrollably, sadly saying, "I really miss my family so much." People nearby, witnessing this very scene, gossip about relationship between the priest and the young man. Hearing this, they blush, then separate their clasped hands, but suddenly grabs his hand again, saying, "We pray together for that great warrior. The warrior saved our world." The great warrior's life is surely incredibly happy. But 3 weeks later, the young man returned to his own world, wandering alone streets. He looks up sky and mutters, "Priest, you are wrong. I saved that world. I was unable to save myself." Returning to his world, the young man first went to his familiar home. Arriving at his doorstep, however, a stranger opened the door. The house's new owner. Turns out, during 8 months of the young man's disappearance, his mother never believed he ran away from home. She was posting missing person notices. Then she was struck by a car. Fearing responsibility, the driver fled the scene. Half a month after his mom's death, his father couldn't accept their broken family. He ended his own life in grief. Furthermore, he asked if news of his death became big, then upload his missing person notice to the news report's end. Now the young man looks at photos of his parents, crying all alone. Police classified him a runaway delinquent. School expelled him immediately, a delinquent causing his parents' death. Friends saw him an anomaly, bringing disaster, seeking relatives. He was kicked from their homes. Hearing his parents' siblings yelling, "You should have kept in touch. You never contacted family," causing their deaths, lying there. He shouldn't have saved that world. He was sleeping on park benches, enduring, silently seeing others eat hamburgers. He searched his pockets. Finding only $2, he lacked money. He had no family, no education. He lost his identity. Looking up with tears, "What is going on? Is this real? I saved the whole world, saved many lives. When my parents were looking for me, I was fighting desperately to get back. Why has the world forsaken me?" Then a large man bumps into him. The big man glares at him. "Hey, you want to die? Why are you in the road?" After speaking, he insults him. His girlfriend also mocks him. "This guy's an idiot." The man hugs his girlfriend and laughs. "You're lucky you made my girlfriend happy." But the young man stares and says, "Why aren't you sad at all?" The man asks, puzzled. The young man cries, "Is it you've never saved the world?" But the man says fiercely, "What are you talking about?" The young man mutters quietly, "I know my desires. I just hope everyone feels as sad." The man then grabbed the young man's hair. Then he said with a fierce look, "You are one delusional brat. What are you even saying? I will tear your mouth up." The young man extended his left hand. "Heed my calling, holy sword to rankle." Their girlfriend bursted out in laughter. A big blade, slash down now. Man now minced meat instantly. The woman's smile froze up. She screamed out terrifyingly loud. The young man cried some long-time tears. His eyes had no light. Drawing out holy sword during a summoning. Stuck in ground, he had only one final thought. Make this world feel my great pain. 2 months later, he lifted the holy sword Duranko once more. But this time, it was not at the Demon King, but ordinary people in this world. In the city center, he released his fury. This strike with anger fiercely struck the area. With a boom, massive energy engulfed the whole city. Many painful screams filled the air. The young man saw the wrecked city. Wasn't it said the hero who saved the world would live a beautiful, happy life? So why is this world treating me badly? After the smoke dissipated, the city was leveled. The young man was alone on the cliff. Time passed quickly. 3 weeks since the warriors' attack. City transportation became paralyzed, and inside one fleeing car, Jung-soo Park stared out his window. His mom said while she drove, "Why is this road traffic so blocked we can't go?" His little sister also began crying, saying, "Brother, where are we going? Why isn't Dad with us?" But Dad already messaged Jung-soo Park, telling them, "Keep on driving south." Jung-soo Park explained this to little sister. "We'll see Father soon, it's okay." Suddenly, police sirens blared beside the car. A motorcycle sirens flashing quickly moved through traffic, reaching the front of every vehicle. The motorcycle came to stop. The police officer dismounted, grabbed a megaphone, shouted nervously, "Citizens, please pay attention. The warrior will arrive here very soon. We cannot delay it any longer. Everyone exit your cars now. Proceed by foot now, refugees. We got to keep moving forward orderly. Please follow all military and police instructions." Jung-soo Park's mother told him care for his sister. Jung-soo Park nervously agreed to it. Then a tank fell down sky. People were fleeing. Seeing the scene, they immediately showed terror. Then everyone screamed and fled. Jung-soo Park's family was among that crowd. But his sister was slow. So Jung-soo Park carried his sister. The crowd was running around him, but they didn't know death had arrived. Looking at the humans who were ants, Min-soo Kim felt sickened. Do you still have hope of surviving? So you're still struggling now. When you did those inhumane things, did you ever think about today? He held his giant blade, leaping down. All of you go to hell. Such a powerful being appeared. The humans had no way to resist. They fled desperately. Jung-soo Park, carrying his sister, was fleeing. He collided with a middle-aged man. His sister's toy then fell down. Watching the toy trampled by passers-by, his sister cried out, "Get my toy." Jung-soo Park then comforted his young sister. It wasn't the right time for toys, but his sister grabbed at his hair. "Dad gave me that birthday gift." Jung-soo Park understood the rabbit was precious to his sister, so he told his sister, "Stay here, don't move," saying, "I will be back very soon." He went against people to find the rabbit. Soon he saw that little rabbit, but the rabbit was far away. So he reached out to grab the toy, and the warrior had arrived here now. But Jung-soo Park was still reaching. The warrior raised the tide blade, then shouted loudly, "Let us suffer all together." When he finished these words, Jung-soo Park had just gotten the rabbit. The warrior had already attacked. People in front were immediately cut down. Even buildings were split. Jung-soo Park stood up then. The scene before him stunned him for a good while. The surroundings were ruined with rivers of blood flowing. Jung-soo Park called for his family, heartbroken. He suddenly felt something under his foot. Looking, it was his little sister's hand. He started sobbing. He frantically cleared away the stones. The next scene almost made Jung-soo Park puke. Yesterday's dinner, his eyes were vacant. Tears streamed down his face. Then the warrior walked to him, coldly saying, "Your eyes look pretty. Your eyes show loss. Just like mine, without dreams. No hope." Jung-soo Park yelled at him. "You did all this?" the warrior coldly responded. Jung-soo Park grabbed a nearby steel bar, then fiercely struck the warrior. "I'll kill you the next second." The warrior grabbed him by his throat. The warrior looked at him, said fiercely, "What can you kill me with?" Then ran a sword through Jung-soo Park. Jung-soo Park, because of too much blood loss, his consciousness began slowly fading. His mind recalled his little sister at the end. Also mom and dad, and grandmother. But as Jung-soo Park closed his eyes, a strange voice suddenly reached him. "Great warrior, oh great warrior, please wake up." The great warrior finally opened his eyes. He looked up to see a girl with a magic hat. Then Jung-soo Park became the warrior hated by everyone. 1 year after the warrior's violent rampage, all cities had completely fallen. Min-soo Kim then also became an entity no one on earth could challenge. And then many warriors awakened successively joining Minsu Kim to taking over K country. They followed Minsu Kim for personal reasons. Now, K country entirely was ruled by Minsu Kim, also the warriors. This entire world changed because of them. The scene changes to Area Z Island, the Golem warriors' territory. An eye-shaped stone watched everything the island. One girl could not stand this type of life. She complained, "I want death. Living has no meaning this world." The girl across comforted her, crying, "Don't say those depressing things. You came to this island to live." The door was suddenly opened. A giant hand entered. This was the Golem warrior's ability, used to oversee and make civilians work hard. People stood routinely in the square with rumbling stomachs. Suddenly, footsteps were heard and hand monsters appeared. Forming a staircase the mysterious man used. The monsters walked toward the high platform. The man was the Golem warrior. Sung Guzhong then snapped his fingers. Sand floated from the ground, forming a huge speaker eventually. He spoke with great passion. "Today women prepare all food. Men work on palace construction." But he saw wooden expressions below. Sung Guzhong's face instantly darkened greatly. "Why are you so depressed?" Sumin Zhong cursed internally. "You garbage who wants your work." But Sung Guzhong kept on talking. "Thank me, other warriors control areas. You might be test subjects or fanatics." But everyone below remained silent still. He had lost the crowd, it's clear. His expression changed suddenly. He then viciously said, "Have I been too soft on you?" After speaking, he made a snapping gesture with a finger. Those below looked like they had seen some ghost. They frantically ducked and also ran. The giant stone fingers all made snapping gestures at that time. Following Sung Guzu's finger snap, the stone hands shot out some terrifying shockwaves. Many, unable to escape, lost their lives then. Somanjong coldly watched all this happening now. She was used to it already. Another girl at her feet stammered, "Also." Somin looking at her companion now. Somanjong felt no sadness at all. She just closed the girl's eyes. "Is it very unlucky in the end? Only I am left now." But Song Gujo shouted loudly on the platform, "If you don't want to die, then move faster. You bastard." The scene changes now to the orchards. Somanjong was doing some picking work. An old grandmother came by. She saw Somanjong young and having lost a companion. The grandmother let Samanjang have her collected fruit. But Samanjang should go feel that sea breeze to clear minds. Looking at the grandma's kind smile, Samanjang could just accept it graciously. When she was leaving, Grandma also told her be careful of something up above. After she was hearing her speak, Samanjang started to walk towards the direction of the sea. She saw the sea outline after eating one sour orange. She just couldn't hold it anymore. Squatting down, she started crying loudly. She was remorseful for her own powerlessness. Then a movement from nearby haystack caught attention. She was looking over. It was a soldier in military uniform coming over. He's asking Samanjong, can she give some food? Samanjong offered him her food, but the man said it was not enough. The man took her hand, asking for more food, because crew members were waiting on the ship. They were all working to defeat that warrior and take control of this entire island. After she heard the man's words, Samanjong looked up at the eye. If she returned very fast, the eye wouldn't see her. Then she gently patted her own chest. "Please make sure you take the city. I will bring you much food." Samanjong ran fast to bring fruits. On the way, she kept crying. She didn't want this miserable life. She wished to resist returning to the seaside. She was shocked at what happened, because she saw Sungu Zhong some giants. And Sungu Zhong turned around then. "You calm little rat." A giant hand reached out, grabbing Sungu Zhong. Sung Gujiang was easily trapped, but Sung Ganjiang wasn't giving up. "What's happening? I avoided surveillance. Why did you still discover me?" Sung Gujin tilted his head up. "You think there's only one eye. Deactivate invisible mode now." The words just fell. Many eyes appeared densely in the air. Sung Gujin let a crazy smile out. While clapping, he said, "This is more interesting seeing the scene." Soman Zhong shouted angrily. "You damn bastard!" Sungu Zhong said coldly. "Blame your own powerlessness. Become a warrior if you're unconvinced." Then so. The giant hand monster holding Soman Zhong tightened slowly. Soman Zhong yelled with all her strength, "Please somebody fight for weak me." Then light points appeared in the sky. Heaven had heard her. Light shot to the horizon. A pillar of light fell on Soman Zhong. The smoke cleared. A warrior appeared holding a gun. Sungu Zhong showed great surprise. This warrior was Jong-soo Park. Min-soo Kim's blade had run through him. He became the warrior type he most hated. Jong-soo Park stared at Sung-ga-hong before him. The golem warrior was puzzled, wondering who this person was. Sun Jin-jeong also looked at Jong-soo Park, who descended from above. Then Jong-soo Park just glanced over at three people pinched by a giant hand. He saw clearly the air froze time had stopped. Jong-soo Park broke the silence first. You hear him saying jacket girl. Describe the situation now. Sumin Jong confusedly replied. You mean me? Sung-ga-zoon shouted. Who are you who enter my area? Jong-soo Park gave him a cold look. Meanwhile now, Sumin Jong figured out the situation. She learned this warrior wasn't with the sword warrior. The golem warrior knew him not. Sumin Jong immediately saw some hope. He is the sword warrior's follower man. He occupied Z Island. He killed the island people. Those soldiers were also killed by this guy. But the golem warrior noticed them too, treating him as heir. Directly squeezed Sumin Jong harder. Jong-soo Park figured out what's going on, but he ignored Sumin Jong's words. With a dark face, he asked Sung-ga-hong. Everything she said, is that true? Sung-ga-hong was a little stunned at his look. Then he responded, what if it is? Hearing this, Jong-soo Park replied, go die then. Then he pointed the spear at Sung-ga-hong. Seeing this, Sung-ga-zoon prepared to attack. Suddenly, in a blink, several huge hands lunged toward Jong-soo Park. The eyes in the sky glowed red. All the attacks focused on Jong-soo Park, even facing attacks right before him. Jong-soo Park remained totally calm. He twirled the spear above his head. The huge hands rushing shattered completely. The eye's laser couldn't match his speed. Jong-soo Park took one big step forward. The direction he ran towards was where Sung-ga-jin was. Right then, Sung-ga-jin nervously used both hands blocking. Before Sung-ga-jin could even react, Jong-soo Park appeared before him, following with a sideways slash. This cut off Sung-ga-zoo's arms, he realized. He was terrified finding his hands gone. But Jong-soo Park kicked out, stomping him under his foot, then calmly said it is over. Saman Jeong was stunned watching. This guy defeated the golem warrior, who crushed an entire fleet easily. But Jong-soo Park asked gloomily, does the sword warrior wear white? Seongu Jeong shouted unhappily. I don't know, seeing him silent. The next second a foot flew. Jong-soo Park then spoke coldly. Every single time you say, I don't know, they'll remove a body part from your body. Sung-ga-joon fearfully admitted. Jong-soo Park rephrased asking where the sword warrior was. Seeing he still refused to talk, another slash happened, another foot flew. This time Sung-ga-jong became completely disabled. He implored Jong-soo Park for his life. But Jong-soo Park responded coldly. Nobody can save your life. But if you respond quickly, I can make you die quickly. But then Sung-ga-jo grinned, saying, I have been awaiting my skill. What was it you waited for? Giant hands were continually striking Jong-soo Park from his behind. Soma-jung's location also got struck, the ground bursting. Once the dust had settled, two massive hands gradually lifted Sung-ga-jin into the air. Gazing at the ruined scene down below, he felt some tears welling in his eyes. The scene transitions to when this guy traveled to another world. He did save a world, or the world he'd lived in before would be the Demon King's next target. After he returned again to Earth, he felt burned by everybody. He didn't get a single thank you. His own father wouldn't even acknowledge him. Nowhere to go, the hopeful man visited an orphanage, but was turned away because he's too old. He even went to do odd jobs. He's bullied by the owner, threatening him wage theft because he was young. But he really was a hero. He asked for little, even one thank you would be enough. He was a stray dog nobody will take in. These were the golem warrior Sung-ga-jin's prior experiences. He finally conquered Z Island, having his own world. With much difficulty, he did not want death. But below, Jong-soo Park obviously would not let him go. Jong-soo Park raised the spear in his hand, aiming at Sung-ga-zoon, muttering some words himself. All warriors must die, Sung-ga-zoon, and heaven shouted bloom. Prayer flower. All the stone statues combined, forming a large lotus, emitting terrifying power of destruction. The runes on Jong-soo Park's arm also lit up. He then roared out, grant attribute lightning now. After his words, lightning enveloped his spear completely. He used the divine spear skill from the divine realm. Jong-soo Park fiercely threw the spear towards the stone image. The image emitted red laser. Then two energies violently collided together. But it was obvious The stone image's energy was not as strong as Jong-Soo's. Instantly, the spear hit the lotus flower's center. Then it pierced the entire lotus flower, piercing Sungazan also, hiding behind a flower in Sunga's haunt. With his body half pierced, now he stared blankly ahead. Nobody knew his thoughts. Then he coughed blood, falling from the statue. The golem warrior destroying Z Island ended his life's last moments. The scene shifts to the world the warrior saved. The priest's voice from the square, only to hear, to the side, a bit more yes. There a boom, something heavy fell. Then the priest muttered this. We finally repaid him. Let's pray for him. The people erected a statue for the golem warrior, Songuzan, who had saved them all. The priest joyfully said to everyone, may the warrior find real happiness. However, reality was cruel. All he received was endless pain. Sunguzhang was already dying. He looked skyward, tears in a vacant gaze. With Sunguzhang's death, Z Island welcomed peace. These civilians hugged each other cheering. Jung-Soo Park observed these warm scenes. He thought about his parents. He had no home, and just then, Somin came over requesting him to come. The civilians wanted to see their savior. But Jung-Soo Park said no, saying those eliminating warriors aren't welcome. It will only create fear. Moreover, he hadn't acted to save them. Salman laughed after he heard this. She never expected this man considered others. She poses Jong-Soo Park a question, asking will he eliminate all warriors. Jong-Soo Park replies, he is eliminating anyone assisting the sword warrior. Salman asks, is it revenge? Jong-Soo Park says yes. This makes Salman want to follow Jong-Soo to get revenge too. But Salman knows Jong-Soo Park might see her a burden, so she details Jong-Soo her strengths. She saw every warrior's location while escaping and understands what skills they possessed. She yells to Jong-Soo Park, I can be your guide. Jong-Soo Park doesn't answer. Instead, he states his question, asking Salman her motive for this. It turns out warriors killed Salman's family, but she lacked power for revenge. So the two begin a journey to kill all warriors. They arrive at a desolate place, preparing for their next journey. Salman explains something. The warrior situation in the nearby areas. The closest warrior was super tough now. There was another warrior less tough, but very far away. Salman asked Jong-Soo which one should be picked. Jong-Soo, of course, chose that nearby warrior. Salman guessed this outcome too. She explained to Jong-Soo this warrior's deeds. She was the Sea Dragon warrior. Once she destroyed the Pacific Fleet as the strongest sea warrior. She also had a sea dragon obeying her. Practically, it's a mobile artillery platform. Sea Island civilians have been killed by these guys. Salman's mother was also harmed. So the two chose to shadow a fleet, getting ready to confront that sea dragon warrior. Departure was 2 hours away still. The captain argued with a crew member. They did not know about Jong-Soo Park. The golem warriors defeat her. Was good or bad sending Jong-Soo Park to land would defeat the sword warrior was uncertain. They just didn't know. Why bother with the Sea Dragon warrior mess? The captain looked into his eyes. That guy took out the golem warrior. He wishes to exterminate every warrior. Aren't those two facts sufficient? Over 30 comrades are already gone. The scene changes to sea. The fleet had sailed an hour. Sumin described the Sea Dragon warrior's look. Jung-Soo Park. This made Jung-Soo Park very confused. Is an earthworm paper person my next foe? Soman's face turned bright red at this. She told Jong-Soo Park to ignore those things. She started her analysis, explaining. This woman usually stands atop the sea dragon's head. The dragon will not move unless she gives commands. She had seen it before. Fights between the sea dragon warrior, the military. The dragon breathed blue fire. Its body was huge. That woman could block every attack effortlessly. Then both felt the ships shaking now. They went outside to look. The radar detected a suspicious object approaching. It steadily approached the fleet too. The crew fired at the suspicious object's location frantically. Surprisingly, only fish floated up. Experienced Jong-Soo Park knew these fish were frightened indeed. The real threat was appearing now. A giant whirlpool formed before the ship. A huge sea dragon emerged, a woman standing on it. She was Sea Dragon Warrior Sua Shin. Muttered the warrior killed Golem Warrior. I will end you here. The captain ordered the crew turn around. But Jong-Soo Park shouted loudly instead. He said, drop anchor now. The captain was decisive, chose to drop anchor. This meant they were ready to fight. Xin immediately commanded the dragon to breathe massive. Blue flames. Jung-Soo Park muttered quietly. Weapon shield activate. Spear seal on now. A wave of light descends. And Jung-Soo Park's spear bursts with red light seal is activated. A giant shield appeared before the ship. He blocked the dragon's fiery attack. The crew watched carefully, and they thought, this man was actually protecting them without any counterattack. The captain then ordered attacks. Volleys of shells fire at the dragon. Sua Shin on the dragon's head extends her staff muttering. Shield of Atlantis after a sea dragon warrior. Sua Shin then deployed her shield. The fleet's attacks have no effect. The captain expected this to happen. He orders the crew to increase firepower. Using all their weapons, Jung-Soo Park desperately blocking the dragon's attacks. Someone remarked, it seems these people's weapons are useful. The captain's full firepower was revealed. It drained Suishin's magic power. If her magic was gone, they would approach her closely. Jung-Soo Park moved slowly forward. Suishin sensed something bad also. She raised her spear, unconcerned. Atlantis' spear was thrown toward Jung-Soo Park. The spear goes through the missiles, but unexpectedly to everyone. During its mid-flight, the spear changed course suddenly. Jung-Soo Park was still so confused. Xin started to operate truly. Magical power threads were around her. The Atlantis spear began destroying the ship. Her ultimate target was Jung-Soo Park. He resisted the dragon's attack desperately. At the bow, Sua Shin muttered quietly. Dragon ahead, spear from behind. Nameless warrior, you are surely dead now. But then a guy rushed to shield him. Sua Shin felt stunned. The guy told Jung-Soo Park, do not disappoint. Then fell down suddenly. He saw crying former comrades. He told them, sorry, I am late. But I never ran away. Jung-Soo Park grabbed Atlantis' spear, saying softly thanks. Then shouted, grant tribute freeze. Across him, Sua Shin screamed loudly. Not everyone can use that spear. Give back. Jung-Soo Park coldly responded, okay. I will return. Watch how I destroy using your spear. He dropped his defense instantly. Glacial spear skill, frost path. He launched at the spear, pierced all attacks. Xin panicked. She told the dragon stop attacking now. They needed defensive formations deployed. Blue light slowly appeared near Sua Xin. Then a huge defensive formation showed up. This 5-layer defense, even demon kings, like Wyvern, could not penetrate. 5-layer defense formation. However, surprisingly enough, the spear seemed to completely ignore defenses. It was breaking through layers after layers, heading directly for Sua Xin. Fortunately, the spear failed to break through the final layer. Sua Xin felt great relief. She discovered Jung-Soo Park had disappeared. Everything he did was getting close to Sua Xin. Under our protagonist's deadly strike, the sea dragon and Sua Xin's lives ended. But now Sua Xin told the dragon, we loved each other, I love you. The dragon was Atlantis' king. He came from another place Sua Xin once visited. The sea dragon and Sua Xin had defeated a demon king there. They had saved that world together. This short time made them deeply fall in love. Sua Xin felt unhappy about beating the demon king because she had to leave him. The dragon looked at her and said, we will go with you to your homeworld. We fulfilled our duty as king of Atlantis by the demon king's defeat. When this news got to Atlantis people, it was met with many objections. The human world was so different from their world. The dragon just didn't care much, saying loudly, if warriors adapt well, why can't the king? He found already a successor defeated the demon king, who menaced balance of the world. He would spend remaining time with Sua Shin. So the dragon went back to human world with Sua Shin. The dragon couldn't adapt well in the human world. He couldn't keep his human form gradually. Facing Sua Shin's question, the dragon pretended nothing happened. But time passed. Xin realized he couldn't adapt. She hugged him saying, I have money, we go to a desert island. There are no people. You won't suffer anymore. We'll build us a house there. They reached the port. The dragon transformed back, resisting no longer. He said sorry. Then he revealed his true form. The government labeled them terrorists. They became villains like the sword warrior was. Targets as humans fire at them. But Sua Shin cared not. The dragon had protected her before. Now she would protect the dragon. The timeline now returns to the present. Sua Shin died. The sea dragon softly cries, I love you too. We loved and saved the world together. the scene suddenly changes, showing Jung-soo Park repeatedly reviving and killing the Demon King. The Demon King admired that warrior, but he never expected being revived. After the warrior killed him, the Demon King now thought the warrior wanted to become the next Demon King. So he laughs, "You want to fall? You want to be the Demon King?" But unexpectedly, Jung-soo Park picked up his spear again, walking toward him, muttering, "Get up now. I need to keep fighting you, get stronger." The Demon King was dumbfounded. Time passed. The Demon King had been killed many times, revived times trembling. He begged Jung-soo, "Please kill me now." The girl rushed up, hugged him, said, "Stop. You are strong, don't push yourself. We are willing to help your revenge. You'll become a real monster." It turned out that Jung-soo Park had never cared about saving their world. Among all the spear warriors who crossed over through many years, he demanded the most from only himself. He practiced constantly repeated training endlessly. He just felt too weak. He was near the sword warrior's level. Because of this weakness, his sister died. He had already faced countless dangers, gone through complete madness, but each time he could stand because he needed revenge for his sister, his grandmother, also his mother. This could be described as a warrior, but of a sinner, a revenge ghost. The girl was bandaging up his wounds. She asked Jung-soo Park, wasn't he tired? With many scars returning home, his family would be heartbroken. But Jung-soo Park said he had no family. They were all dead already. He rushed, defeating the Demon King to return, because he needed to kill someone powerful who had destroyed everything Jung-soo Park had. Jung-soo Park wanted surpassing him, then torture him a lot, using cruel methods to make him suffer. These were experiences of spear warrior Jung-soo. The timeline is now present. Jung-soo Park has eliminated Sea Dragon Warrior. This made many think that this returned warrior could eliminate all warriors. The scene moves to Sword Warrior's place. A man came Sungjin. Resurrection Warrior came delivering news to Sword Warrior. They're saying the newly returned warrior Jung-soo Park already took out 2 warriors. This meant humans had some hope. Do you want this world drowning in sadness, shining with light? Will you watch as the returned warrior destroys everything? You dreamed that Sword Warrior is standing up. The Resurrection Warrior is smiling. Now, that's our warrior lord. After he defeats the Sea Dragon Warrior, Jung-soo Park came back to the ship. He asked Samin for survivors. The deck bridge, the control room too. Samin checked all over. Everyone perished. Jung-soo Park sadly bowed. Sighing, he understood everything. Samin looked sad without soldiers. Nobody could pilot this warship. She asked Jung-soo Park, does he fly? She'd seen him make shields splitting the sea, appearing almost godlike. Jung-soo Park was silent, then he said, "You think warriors are some doormen. You were my guide. Now, you cannot even pilot a starship." Hearing this, Somin froze before saying, "When I offer guidance, I did not mean piloting. I meant." Before she finished, Jung-soo Park cut her off, saying, "Why act so skilled then? I should not have taken you." So means Somin asked the next plan. Jung-soo Park stopped, then he answered, "We should rest first. You watch me fight, you need no energy. I am different, needing to recover strength." The comment really annoyed Salmon. She snapped angrily, "Fine. Fine, okay, Fine. You are amazing, you happy now?" Her mood also dropped immediately. She really wanted to help too. Inside the ship's cabin, So Min was searching with a flashlight. Her head was filled with what Jung-soo Park told her. She needed to find the warship's operation manual and prove something to Jung-soo Park. She was not useless just now. She thought she heard a noise in the corridor, but that guy she remembered. Jung-soo Park was fast asleep. When she peeked outside, she saw Jung-soo Park was moving the crew members' bodies. He piled the bodies together. It turned out his dad had also been Navy, probably also killed by warriors. Looking at the familiar faces, Jung-soo Park shed tears, saying sadly, "Please, forgive me, I cannot return you home safely. I apologize, I failed to protect you. In your next life, hopefully, you are born where sacrifices aren't needed." Observing all this from the rear, Salman also begins praying. The young man and woman mourn together for souls who died as heroes. After that night, maybe affected by this cruel world, someone came to meet them eventually. The man with sunglasses was Jongkook Choi, captain of the Group K, Country Reconstruction Department counter-warrior team people. Now, they're implementing an operation to capture rogue warriors. Their code name for Jung-soo Park it was. They did not know if this warrior was an ally. or wanted to occupy other warriors' territories. Those two people standing below were also hesitant, since they had not sent any radio signals out. They wondered too, if other warriors sent the helicopter perhaps. The sword warrior was powerful. Many followed them. Jong-soo Park became alert. Warrior team captain Jung-kook Choi stepped forward, stating his identity as K's captain. Country Reconstruction Department counter-warrior team. Then a rope ladder lowered them. Jung-soo Park was confused. After Soman's explanation, though, he figured out this group was formed by government survivors. And military, their plan was warrior killing. Jong-soo Park understood finally. They were seeking him to eliminate warriors. The two climbed into the helicopter. Aboard, Soman looked these formally attired people, along with fully armed soldiers near. They seemed legit, really. Jong-soo Park asked his destination. Unexpectedly, Jong-soo Choi produced a cigarette, then said, "That is rude now, listen carefully. We have the right to ask questions." Then he orders soldiers to handcuff our guys. Soman is thoroughly frightened by this scene. She shouts he eliminated 2 warriors himself. He is good, no need to treat him that way. We could talk the soldiers, tell her not to move. These guns are dangerous. And Jong-soo Choi addresses Jong-soo Park. There's no we here. Only you, a reconstruction department, has no info on you, so you are not trusted. We're escorting you, we are not joking around. Jong-soo Park couldn't contain his anger anymore. He says coldly, guess how long it would take to kill gun-wielding soldiers and take over this helicopter. You think guns can subdue me? Beside him, someone says confused, but they can subdue me unexpectedly. Jung-kook Choi lifts up his clothes, saying, "Guess what's quicker, you or missiles?" This scene scared them greatly. Now, they were soaring 600 meters up. Falling meant certain death. Jong-soo Park emanated killing intent. Across from him, Jong Choi arrogantly said, "If I didn't see you as my brother, I would not warn you of this." Then he tied the two up. They were transported to K Country Reconstruction Department base, but they didn't know if Jong-soo Park was a sword warrior's hidden trump card or not, or if he was truly the savior. At this moment now, eyes were watching Jung-kook Choi and his group. Jong-soo Park and Soman were LED inside bound up. Jong-soo Park was quietly thinking. He needed 1 second to escape the cuffs. Judging by their footsteps alone, there were only a few soldiers around. It'd take 3 seconds to handle them all. He stopped to prepare to move. The soldiers aimed guns at him. He told them, "I boarded to get to land. Not because I'm scared," a soldier shouted. "Save it for interrogation." Jung-soo Park was breaking free from the cuffs. Sumin touched his shoulder, saying, "Don't they are aggressive because they fear us. They're Reconstruction Department people, no harm it. They hate warriors like us. We're all fighting together, allies." So Jung-soo Park calmed down. The two people were taken to separate interrogation rooms. Meanwhile, Summon Jungle Choi was asking her questions. He knew Summon was no warrior. He wanted to understand her. Asked what kind of person that rogue warrior really was, and why she travels with him. She heard the name Rogue Warrior. Someone was shocked. She still shared her thoughts. She spoke. Jong-soo Park was totally different than other evil warriors. This made Jung-kook's choice a bit puzzling. Summon explained. Jong-soo Park seemed to have a personal grudge against the sword warrior. He said he'd kill everyone assisting the sword warrior. It looked like after he killed Min-soo-kim, he would then leave this world gracefully. This explanation helped Jeonggu Choi to understand the fact Jong-soo Park wanted all warriors eliminated for his revenge already matched the Reconstruction Department's goals. Jung Choi then asked the next question. Why Saman was now following Jong-soo Park? Why he agreed to let her? So, Min said she begged because Jong-soo Park needed a guy. Her family died at Min-soo-kim's hands. She wanted revenge with Jong-soo Park, though she was weak. Sam is now pressing her advantage. She's saying, "This is so great with your help. Reconstruction Department and the military personnel. We can totally defeat those warriors and then restore the world." But before Somi could finish her words, Jung-gak Choi cuts her off, saying, "Little one, you are thinking too simply things. Our goal is eliminating the warriors, not just driving them. We never thought about the rogue warrior. Attack sword warrior unless he got something different to us. That would let us fully control him." Jung Choi fires off rapid questions. Can you trust Rogue Warrior? How much you know about him? Do you know his future plans? Is he actually as powerful as Sword Warrior? And you think might he waver? Moreover, many survivors spread the word of a warrior now, who defeats many others before. The rogue warrior becomes the survivor's new hope gradually. Asking them for unconditional trust was risky. It was so dangerous if the rogue warrior didn't succeed. They would have too few people to rebuild. So in the current situation, eliminating him or maybe controlling was best. These choices benefited the reconstruction department greatly. Soman was totally speechless, shocked. Meanwhile, at Jiangsu Park's location, he was waiting for 3 long days. Even with a strong, awakened body, he could not survive without food water. Suddenly, gunfire erupted loud outside. His blindfold now was removed. Saman was the person to arrive. A warrior followed behind her, seeming to be from the Sword Warriors team. He spoke to Jiangsu Park. "You are that returning warrior." Then he introduced himself formally. He was Iron Arm Warrior rescuing Jiangsu Park. Somin was also helping him untie ropes. They're complaining. The reconstruction department never wanted helping us defeat the Sword Warrior. They were eliminating us both. Luckily, the Iron Arm Warrior showed up timely. Iron Arm Warrior laughed. Even if warriors did not occupy the world, that department wouldn't be good. They did not offer help easily. Someone was trashing the reconstruction department constantly. Then Jiangsu Park freed himself from ropes. Summoned his spear too. That's enough talking. As Jiangsu Park prepared attacking the Iron Arm Warrior, Soman stopped him asking about attacking him. But Jiangsu Park grabbed her mouth. "Didn't you want to take revenge on warriors? I do not see determination. I thought you were with me. I really trusted you." The Iron Arm Warrior then spoke. "You misunderstand. Warriors are not evil. We were born in the wrong era." Jiangsu Park shouted, "Shut your mouth. Misunderstanding or some mistake. I don't care. I become the villain. You have crossed the line already. Anyone giving up being human must now die." Jiangsu Park releases Summon, telling her to disappear quickly or die right here. Summon cried out to those behind. "Is this not enough? You need see death before appearing." To Jiangsu Park's total confusion, Jiangsu Choi walked in saying, "You pass." It turned out just 3 days ago. So, Min had discussed Jiangsu Choi about a show together to confirm Jiangsu Park's true determination. This whole thing was an act designed to prove if Jiangsu Park was a real warrior, a killer the department trusts. This Iron Arm Warrior was an actor they found, resembling the real one. Jiangsu Park asked about going with the Iron Arm Warrior. Jiangsu Choi gestured downwards. Piles of time bombs were there. Either way, it was over. They were true allies now. Jiangsu Choi then took Somin and Jiangsu Park to K Country Reconstruction Department's huge shelter. It was an underground city holding 50,000 civilians. Most civilians knew Jiangsu Park's story. Everyone discussed warriors he eliminated. Jiangsu Choi told Jiangsu Park meaningfully, "I gave you warning as a brother. Please don't fail these people. Have a human conscience. Fight protecting them now." The 3 walked onwards. Jiangsu Park stopped suddenly. There was something in front. A small girl walked toward him shyly. She offered Jiangsu Park flowers. Then she went back to her family. Jiangsu Park looked at the flowers. He thought, "I have something to protect still." Jiangsu Park was on the balcony. He watched the civilians underground. He's thinking Jiangsu Choi had them stay temporarily. Soman finished showering, then walked out. She noticed canned peaches in Jiangsu Park's hands. She asked him, "Do you really like these?" Jiangsu Park explained sugar was good brain fuel. He ate them often to plan defeating the Sword Warrior. Soman stared up, murmuring, "I'm curious about you." Suddenly she explained. Jiangsu Park believed Soman suspected he was like those bad warriors. Soman just added softly again, "We still don't know our names, actually. We fight together now. You don't want to keep calling me Jacket Girl. Also, that hit gave me a wound on my ladle-like face. If you're decent, you should talk a bit." Jiangsu Park quietly answered, "My name is Jiangsu Park." The girl smiles, sweetly respond, "Iam Zulman Young Lita." The young man and girl open up their hearts. First and the last time. Meanwhile, at the reconstruction department's workplace, they're discussing stuff about concerning warriors. They had mostly completely sided with Jiangsu Park now. They recruited 3 total warriors. Golem Warrior, Sea Dragon Warrior were defeated. They just needed 7 more warriors handled, including Minsu Kim. 3 versus 7 was a disadvantage. But if they could beat those 7 warriors, the old, orderly, safe world and families would come back. It seems maybe we weren't totally useless. Jiangsu Choi was feeling good. He said it was premature to celebrate, but thanked everyone for working hard. Everyone had performed really well, protecting these 50,000 civilians. "Let's keep it up, team." Just then, suddenly, The whole underground city shook hard. Jung Choi ran outside fast. Outside, cracks formed above the city. Jung-soo Park looked up high. The 7 warriors arrived now. Including Min-soo Kim, they came. A warrior with sunglasses muttered, "Wow. These cockroaches built an underground city." He was the vampire Hwarang Hong. Then a girl with wings said, "These will all become believers. Don't use such bad words." The girl was Faith Warrior Hannah Bake. This guy was Yerma Magic Warrior. This person was Ui Hojong Iron Arm Warrior. This one was Seongjin Lee Resurrection Warrior. He complained about dying 7 times. Just weakening the defense system around here. This dude wearing a hat was Jizong Chan. Martial arts warrior armor guy was Garam Lee. The transformation warrior himself. He told Min-soo Kim, sword warrior, "Give your orders right now." Resurrection warrior bounced over before Min-soo Kim. He says, "You are so tactless." Min-soo naturally wanted everyone present to fall into despair. He finished his sentence. Transformation warrior used artillery mode then. Shells came down on the underground city buildings. Explosions occurred one after another. Jungkook Choi quickly ordered staff to activate city interceptors fast, and also turret systems. They all just stood there, because a trance-like state took them. All were saying, "Do you believe that one?" The Faith Warrior's ability was the cause. Instantly, all of the reconstruction department's tanks, turrets, and some special intelligence groups were easily ripped by these demon warriors. The tactical helicopter squadron was totally wiped out too. These warriors caused many human deaths, 13,703 minutes, 17 seconds. Now a long spear thrust toward Min-soo Kim. The martial arts warrior suddenly jumped. He used 1,000 defense formation, blocking the spear. The force made his hands numb. This spear came from Jung-soo Park, who said, "Finally, I found you," the sword warrior looking said. "So you plunged the world into deep sorrow." Jung-soo Park stared at him. This man took away a family. This man stole his once beautiful happy life. This man destroyed their entire world. Today, Jung-soo Park will end everything. He would handle the chaos source. He clenched fist patterns appearing on arms, shouting loudly, "I will kill you now. I'll end you right here, Min-soo Kim now." He extended a long arm slowly. Light rays appearing around him. Shield Spear, Anseal Earth Spear Yoi. Holy Spear Polo appear. Dark Spear Daryl Fire Spear Ignite Ice Spear Vast. Venomous Poison Spear Scola. Feral Spear Baton Attack. Fragmented Spear Artie Dragon Spear Chachity appears. Many spears appear behind Jung-soo Park. He recognized the powerful man. Very powerful man standing before him. Min-soo Kim has no fancy weapons. He wields his giant greatsword. Jung-soo Park lifts his spear, creating a Taiji Bawa formation. Holy Dark Bow formation, bow and darkest. Black and white energy rushes toward Min-soo Kim. They refuse to dodge. Taking the blow directly the ground is deeply furrowed. Min-soo Kim blocks the attack with his holy sword. But this strike's shockwave stuns 6 other warriors. They realize that Jung-soo Park was, indeed, very unlike other weaklings. It almost becomes a bad incident. The Faith Warrior laughs, saying, "This fight will be interesting." The martial artist adjusted his hat, saying, "Why don't we move before we're caught?" So only Min-soo Kim stayed there. With Jung-soo Park immediately threw his spear. This spear hit into the ground behind Min-soo. The next second, it erupted green smoke. The strong poison made blood flow from Min-soo Kim's orifices. Now he accepted dying at Jung-soo Park's hands. But then instantly, he saw something deep within Jung-soo Park's eyes. Deep in Jung-soo Park's own eyes, there was some hope waiting for redemption. He knew the man wanted redemption. After he's killed him, this guy wants the pleasure of killing him alone. He wanted to be happier than me. Thinking this, Min-soo Kim shouldered his holy sword. Duranko saying Eclipse Mode. He slashed directly at Jung-soo Park. Now, both used their full strength. Weapons clashed. A huge explosion happened. This severely wounded both. Their weapons were scattered all around. Their lives were very similar. Both were abandoned by the world twin brothers, yet they became mortal enemies. Jung-soo Park had to absolutely destroy him. He shouted out Dark Armored Danium. Min-soo Kim also murmured out, "Bless me." God is Seraphine at that same time. Divine light shined from both. Also then, both are in heavy armor. Now Jung-soo Park wanted to just destroy this man, who had ruined everything for Jung-soo, who will ruin it all this world. while Minsu Kim wished to destroy was hope. After getting their armor, the two fought each other frantically. Their weapons are constantly clashing together. Every skill released was Jungsu Park's road to redemption. Every slash showed Minsu Kim's disappointment with this world. The civilians down in the underground city. Also the reconstruction department's combat personnel all watched those two fighters. The sword warrior leveled cities whenever he did appear. He finally met a match because there was someone trying desperately to prevent new tragedies happening. They now saw hope in Jungsu Park. Maybe he might really defeat Minsu Kim. Jungkook Choi added this as my last best trump card. And our important task is desperately holding other warriors back. The weak we must stand. Let's finish this crazy world with our own sacrifice. And so they acted on the Iron Arm warrior's side. He already dealt with matters there, preparing to go to Minsu Kim's aid. But just then a shell flew toward him. A soldier was telling the Iron Arm warrior stay. He grabbed his remaining pistol, firing frantically at it. The Iron Arm warrior was immune to blades and bullets. The soldier cursed, shooting him wildly. Damn you bastard. Do not leave. The other warriors. They faced similar situations. These civilians here, Reconstruction Department personnel, were burning their lives. Their sacrifices buying time for Jungsu Park, fighting alone after several battles. Jungsu Park hadn't gained advantage. Minsu said coming across, "You're strong, that's your limit." He raised the holy sword Dorinkle, activating daybreak mode now. The holy sword erupted waves of bright light, surging frantically at Jungsu. Park had no way dodging. This fierce attack split the ground, creating a crack, and Jungsu Park's left arm was severed. Minsu Kim watched Jungsu Park. Falling from the sky, he said, "You know why you're losing your sorrows? Not enough." Jungsu Park observed himself, saying hoarsely, "You are saying my sorrows not enough. The pain I went through still's not enough. You slaughter my family. The beautiful world was also destroyed by you. My life's trajectory was crushed by you too. A murderer, even saying this is not enough." Jungsu Park pounded his chest, roaring frantically. Now every single warrior, every civilian was deeply moved by the roar. Jungsu Park charged at Minsu Kim with his wrecked body. Right now, Minsu Kim removed his helmet, walking toward him. Instantly, Jungsu Park's fist arrived near him, but Minsu Kim simply turned dodging. Then he punched Jungsu Park's chest. "Not enough, it is still not enough. You are not as pathetic as me." Throwing continuous punches. Minsu Kim yelled, "Not enough. Still not enough. You still have chances. You can find redemption. I have nothing." Minsu Kim's punches inflicted unbearable pain on Jungsu Park, but even harder to bear were Minsu Kim's words now. Jungsu Park spoke with great difficulty. "What terrible things did they do? What did I do wrong?" Minsu Kim attacked Jungsu Park while he answered questions. "You should not be any happier. Should not have eliminated me. Should not have left me. Should not have misjudged me. Should not have excluded me at all. And you should not become like them. Hope you are destroying the chains of sadness I worked to forge." Now a bullet flew towards Minsu Kim. Salmon shouted something at Minsu Kim. "You are correct, that guy's our final hope. And you," Jungsu Park told Salmon, "run fast." Minsu Kim then said, "Your hope is truly useless. You strongly believe you can kill me." Salmon looked at Minsu Kim, coming closer and closer. Her body trembled, saying, "I can't kill you, but I believe one day, if we rise and resist today, we will surely defeat you then." As for Jungkook Choi, he took his very last breath. He fell down to his knees. He connected every speaker. He had his last words. At that moment, Jungkook Choi's voice echoed underground. "Survivors, friends who can still fight, please listen to Counter Warrior. The spear guy, he is our only hope. Our army got wiped out. Our weapons are gone too. Everyone has lost their will. I'm sorry so. We can only protect him and wait for a chance. This is all we can do. Make sure to protect the warrior. I'll leave it to you guys." After his short speech, Jungkook Choi used his left hand. It was a bomb. He saw the sky, remembering things, never imagining that he would burden other people. And with an explosion, Jungkook Choi falls, and the scene returns to Minsu Kim. Magic Warrior stood before Salmon. Yes, she was an undercover agent. She gritted her teeth at Minsu Kim across her. "You know it's been annoying, humoring your everyday madness." Then the Magic Warrior began her attack. "Goodbye, you late-stage Chuna." Time goes back to earlier times, when Magic Warrior was a civilian. She also moved to a different world accidentally. She returned to this world worrying for family. This world was a sea of fire because Kim faced this situation. Warriors had two choices: become sword warrior's enemy or get mad with them. The magic warrior lacked courage, lacked spirit. She did not choose. She just wanted family safe. But that fateful day still came. She was delivered to the troops by Reconstruction Department people. Following Jungkook Choi's actions, the magic warrior revealed her true form. She explained to Jungkook Choi her non-resistance. Because warriors have different strengths. Their strength symbol was the Demon King's power. They defeated the Demon King Kim had defeated. Was over 100 times stronger than other Demon Kings other warriors had previously defeated. Put simply, this war was a losing battle before beginning. Joe McCoy kept asking, even if your world became hell, you remain unmoved. The magic warrior answers, how is that even possible? All this was due to Kim, also her family. Her mother was still very sick. She didn't want to die if dying. Who would protect her loved ones in this chaos? Not all warriors are brave. But Jung Choi spoke up. He had a solution not requiring magic warrior's death, and it could also save our world. He asked Magic Warrior join Kim's team. They wouldn't let Magic Warrior sacrifice needlessly. They would move her entire family abroad. People would personally guard her family, and they would cure Mom's illness too. The Magic Warrior still lacked confidence. She was no match for Minzu whatsoever. But Jungkook Choi wasn't asking dangerous things. He wanted to use Magic Warrior as bait. When the means to defeat Kim appeared, Magic Warrior would become a trump card. That means the timeline now returns. She was battling Kim presently. Meanwhile, Jong-soo Park near death. He was remembering past events. He couldn't avenge his parents or sister. He had devoted energy to it. Thrusts 117,689 downward cuts are 57,991 times. Blackouts happened 294 times near death 13 times. Scars in 84 places. Enemies killed 1744. Jong-soo Park experienced all this in another world, and revenge was his only motivation. But now all of it is meaningless. He couldn't even do basic protection, let alone revenge. He wielded the strongest spear. His power came from the Demon King. He had used everything against Kim, but winning wasn't possible. Jung-soo Park felt despair. He had consumed all his hatred of Kim. During every training session, every fight, he pushed himself beyond limits. But Jung-soo Park only managed to leave some wounds on Kim, making him bleed a little. Nothing more than that. He now understood finally. This was always a losing game. He had no way to fight Kim. He opened his mouth, tongue trembling. He wanted to end himself immediately. And it quickly. Jong-soo Park then shouted, I don't want my second life taken by that Kim. Then his family members' faces appeared. Former comrades flashed through his mind quickly. That little girl, he quietly mumbled, everyone. I am sorry, I cannot do it. With a crack he bit down to die. But Saman appeared at that moment. Jung-soo Park looked at her tearfully. Saman tearfully said something to him. You must live on. Just then, the magic warrior had appeared. She carried Jung-soo Park flew away. She needed to save humanity's hope, while Saman knelt watching him leave. These soldiers clutched their grenades. They charged toward powerful warriors. They needed to sacrifice themselves, buying time for Jung-soo Park to escape. He's the last hope. Other warriors frantically pursued him, but at important moments, someone always sacrificed to save him. Jung-soo Park stared blankly at events. Soldiers shouted at him. Live, they cursed the warriors who destroyed everything. You mongrels, let's go to hell together. These warriors could not understand. Did these people take the wrong meds? People trembled in fear days ago. Why are they suddenly fearless charging? Why they be foolish burning their lives? For time for a future with no outcome. The Iron Arm warrior was displeased with these people's actions. He broke barriers built with lives. Whenever he broke one barrier, new obstacles would appear. This time's obstacle was a C4 truck. Inside, a soldier held a grenade. He quietly muttered, gotta survive. The soldier's thumb pressed down. A deafening explosion erupted then. Their sacrifice created an escape for Jong-soo Park and Yarin Ma, the magic warrior. Meanwhile, Jong-soo Park and company were still chased by a vampire warrior. The vampire warrior cut his own palm, then formed a blood bow instantly. He fully drew and shot at Jungsu Park and Yaren. They narrowly evaded this attack. Due to Yaren Ma's skillful maneuvering, escape seemed too difficult to achieve. Their initial entry point now had Minsu Kim and Faith Warrior guarded. The sky cracks they might escape through had rocks ceaselessly falling down. Too dangerous wandering around more. They would surely be caught. And then Yaren Ma saw a light. Reconstruction Department was guiding her direction. Yaren Ma flew towards his direction fast. The vampire warrior was close behind her. The destination was the B-12 elevator. Refugees, the underground city, were escaping. Through that elevator, a man reported to his superior. They were leading the magic warrior. His superior praised his great job. Gather all the remaining forces, he said. Use your last strength to buy the magic warrior some time. Avoiding other warriors' escape to surface. The man expressed some confusion. Using the elevator as an escape route. What about all those refugees? Wouldn't a drastic reaction happen? Asked to give up their very lives. It might cause rioting, the superior mentioned. Leave those matters to me and the Reconstruction Department folks. Stop people entering the elevator again. They announced this was the last elevator. They'll run it to aid the rebel warrior. Jungsu Park escaped this place. After he leaves, they'll cut power. The news caused an uproar among the refugees. They yelled, "We don't deserve living." But the woman said coldly, "If you abandoned the warrior and escaped, no one would protect you guys. At that moment, including myself, everyone would get slaughtered. Our sacrifice has two outcomes now, either period or comma. If the counter warrior survives, if we can save him, then we have chance to beat the sword warrior. Investing in a future is our greatest action. Full of possibilities, okay? Everyone give up your lives now. Fight with us right now." The crowd was totally silent. A man breaks the silence, though. He exits the elevator, then places a baby inside it. He said, "Give my spot away." The man's actions touched everyone, it seems. Several more people left the elevator. They got ready for battle together. They will protect the hope together. Yaren Ma and Jungsu Park arrived. Yaren Ma looked down and said, "I'm sorry, everyone." Facing powerful awakened beings, these civilians chose to use their lives because they must buy 5 minutes for Jungsu. 40,000 lives are sacrificed for one. He was the civilians' only hope. The magic warrior took Jungsu Park to a deserted island. A shadow approached them then. It was a woman with deer antlers. She looked at Jungsu Park and said, "So you did survive?" The scene changed to Country A's palace. They held a meeting about Country K and its reconstruction department. They completely had lost all contact with Country K's reconstruction department that they supported, including 7,000 reconstruction department soldiers, 217 high-level personnel, and 40,000 refugees. Under the reconstruction department protection, they estimated that all Country K people in the reconstruction department were wiped out. The vicious warriors are behind all of it. This attack was different from before. There was a special circumstance. A third warrior had appeared, who could face the sword warrior. The man displayed Jungsu Park footage. Someone below then asked, "Is this video unedited? And how is the video obtained?" The man then explained, "The K Country staff sent this, dying to send it. They confirmed it's original." Country A's leader spoke up too, asking Jungsu Park's current location. The deer antler woman now was carrying them deeper into the forest. She set them down. She took out a seed. The seed immediately rooted, then sprouted. It wrapped Jungsu Park and Yaren, slowly becoming a wooden bed. He lets them lie down. The trunk emits green light. It's healing them both. Jungsu Park regains some consciousness. He mumbles something. "Why save me when lost to that sword warrior? I was too weak to protect everyone. I got them all killed once again." The girl who saved him slaps him hard. She tells Jungsu Park be quiet. She said he did protect them well enough, but that they'd protected him. Jungsu Park's head is full of the past. Many comrades sacrificed themselves for him. Tears well up in the girl's eyes also. She remembers her old comrades as well. The scene changes to Country A's palace. They've located Jungsu Park in Country I, and the number of Country K's refugees coming to Country A for asylum exceeds 5 million people. Soon there will be news of Country K occupied, would spread through mainstream news media to every street, every alley. Citizens might fall into a panic over this. Those uninvolved countries also would hear news of Country K's total demise. They could take drastic action. See. A man in uniform said to the president then, "We strike first." The president excitedly stood up, saying they could not send the troops. Citizens would totally panic it. But the man said seriously, "Country K fallen, they are in anarchy now. Most citizens have no hope of survival already. We use our last resort, these warriors together. That's the new weapon gods retreat." At this time, in weapons operation room, operators are busy. The president just gave a launch order. World hostility toward one-person malice. Minsu Kim, the scene's reconstruction department now. Tragic scenes were then everywhere. The last person alive was trembling because Minsu Kim had arrived before him. The man pointed his gun at him. Minsu Kim came closer to him, said, "Go tell every human their so-called hope. The spear warrior guy is really dead. Humanity's hope has really perished now. Tell them cower on the ground. And just watch this world go to destruction. If you just agree, do as I say. I will spare you your life, but now." The man's weeping suddenly stopped. He then laughed, saying, "You are afraid. Aren't you afraid humans will get hope again, and that they will fight against you? You're afraid the spear dude returns alive. How very fortunate that you are not a god. Fortunate you're just human like all us." Minsu Kim didn't want hearing any more annoying words. He immediately ended that man's life. Then the resurrection warrior came up behind him, saying the shelter was mostly cleared out. Other warriors were also there waiting for him. The faith warrior told Minsu not to worry, if he could just calm down. The iron arm warrior also laughed. "Yeah, they shouldn't have provoked you." Sword warrior Minsu Kim replied, "Don't act like you get me. You are just like all of them. You do not grasp the problem's core." The return warrior steered it back on track, asking what Minsu Kim's plan was next. The reconstruction apartment was now destroyed, and the population had been greatly lessened. Minsu Kim said they'd pursue the spear warrior. Many humans still placed their hope in him. As long as Jiangsu Park was alive, the world Minsu built wouldn't be accepted. The resurrection warrior spoke meaningfully. What if Country K does not just deny us, but the whole world too? Country A's leader held a press conference. The main content was, "These evil warriors bear malice toward humankind. They already destroyed a country. So to preserve world peace, to keep soldiers' families from more grief, they use their final means. The weapon Country A sealed for 50 years. They hoped the international community and Country K's refugee friends view them rationally." Minsu Kim and warriors learned this. The weapon was 2 minutes away from descending here. They had no escape time, but there was no panic on faces, as if they have support. After learning their situation, Minsu Kim and others, the vampire warrior asks the transformation warrior, "Weren't you supposed to be guarding the air defense?" The transformation warrior did not know. They were going to use satellites for bombing, since the Allied forces suffered many losses from transformation warrior earlier. They kept this a secret. Just then, Iron Arm warrior laughed, interrupting their small talk. "We have the best reset button. What are we scared? We are depending on you now." Resurrection warrior then smiles. He asked Minsu Kim his plan. Minsu Kim had forcefully kept them here. He only wanted transforming Country into a world he wanted, not the whole entire world. Now they are enemies with everyone. The resurrection warrior wondered Minsu Kim was ready for this. Minsu Kim responded after listening, "Those guys are all accomplices. They are all our stumbling blocks." The resurrection warrior laughed and spoke. "Very well then, after returning, I really must destroy all of the world." The transformation warrior told him, "Remember, after resurrecting the weapons launched from satellites, so he can directly hack into the satellite systems." The transformation warrior said that because the resurrection warrior's skill lets him return to past with all his memories intact. A nearly invincible ability, changing cause and any effect, and controlling any outcome now. They sat quietly on ground, staring the sky, waiting for fireworks to come. Finally, the gods retreat above their heads, as it bursts brilliantly aflame. The resurrection warrior called out Minsu Kim. Minsu Kim turned, hearing words that stopped his heart. "Your memories disappear after the reset. I want to tell you now, your parents were killed by me." Did you say what? Minsu Kim couldn't react yet. They vanished already in fire. The gears of time moved backward. The timeline went back. Now, at a workstation in the apartment, the resurrection warrior was back when he sent surveillance to Country A. Inside the space station 2 launched. humanity's most precise weapon of annihilation. But when pressing for God's retreat, there was only silence there. Both operators were really shocked. How could this error happen? Then all electronic screens glowed purple. The shadow of the transformation warrior appeared. His robotic voice was transmitted. Thanks for the weapons. The next moment, this human history's destructive weapon activated suddenly. It flew towards world corners on its own. Meanwhile, Country A's leader was giving a speech. Staff members seemed to convey a message. He quickly ran outside, seeing something after steps. God's retreat goes through the window. Right now, they cannot believe their weapons turned against them. That day, 16 God's retreat facilities fell worldwide. City P in F country, also City B in C country. City N in I country and City O in E country too. The entire world completely stopped on this day. Meanwhile, in country A, the president, the vice president, and all members of Congress were killed. Only transportation secretary remains. Buck Hines remained and lived. All this happened because their whole military system, including God's retreat, got hacked. Was hacked, leading to this disaster, meaning all cabinet people in the Capitol died. The surviving transportation secretary then, Buck Hines, would become president, the cabinet's last leader now. Like that suddenly, Buck Hines became president by a simple presidential oath. Two men wearing military uniforms approached him with briefcases. They put them on his desk. The men explained, you should know these weapon packages. You can view all usable weapons. Locations and launch bases are here. But Hines notices something strange. He asked what that was. The men explained. This a hotline is for communicating with the Transformation Warrior directly. Buck Hines felt confused. Isn't Transformation Warrior a terrorist in Country K? He's responsible for this whole incident too. Why contact him? But now, the man shook a head saying, I'm talking about the warrior who appeared in Europe 100 years before, ended 2 world wars, and made Country A's technology world supremacy. In the 20th century, it was Country A's transformation warrior. Buck Hines started sweating cold. Once every 100 years on this world, humans are chosen at random. Some humans become warriors every century. They're sent to face trials in another world. A few warriors can even defeat the Demon King. Those warriors returned, changing the world of matter. Some returning warriors became figures in mythology. Other warriors wore yellow robes, becoming emperors, ending times of chaos. Some other warriors pioneered scientific revolution, devoting their lives to their nation. They all continue progress alongside mankind. The Resurrection Warrior was telling all that to Minsu Kim about warriors' origins with everyone else. It was, however, just his theory. The Vampire Warrior then raised a question. Aren't there warriors now in all other countries? The Faith Warrior, agreeing, added something. If that's true, it would seem so. Legends and myths could then explain historical gaps. Iron Arm Warrior ignored that complicated logic. He thought everyone was a warrior, but they were not immortal gods. However powerful a warrior was, after so many years of erosion, they probably no longer around. But Faith Warrior refuted. Some special existences aren't afraid of eroding, like me or Transformation Warrior-like beings who have transcended their human form. Resurrection Warrior slapped his leg. Faith Warrior is so astute. Some unique existences might be living. They were just simply buried. The scene shifts to City SEC, Country A's top technology city. Country A's new president stared blankly at 3 giants. These were legendary figures who changed eras, and they were all this robot's avatars, who was previously in Country A. The Transformation Warrior it was. He already figured the president came for him, because the warrior's gone on a rampage. Actually, the president first didn't believe anything. Now he had to submit. He felt only the Transformation Warrior might save everyone. Now the Transformation Warrior approaches them slowly. The bodyguards next to President Buck Hines were alert. Seeing this, the Transformation Warrior spoke. The old president didn't trust me. I wasn't human. He thought people should use their own power to change all of the world. And the Transformation Warrior agreed with his view. He extended a hand to Buck Hines, saying, "Now you've reached out your hand. I won't let you down ever." Buck Hines stared into his eyes, asking, "May I ask why you help us? Why do you accept to save the world? Why are you special from other warriors of Country K?" The Transformation Warrior remembered his past. Country A had shown him acceptance. That reason alone was it. Transformation Warrior Marie Stevenson is back at an underground church, Country B. A crane was lifting a big mass from magma. Two people were nearby talking. An old man wearing a hat spoke to another old man. "Your Holiness, can I know what's inside there?" I believed it was a holy relic. The old man, called Pope, spoke. "The 14th century's final miracle worker. Humanity's very kind final one. The faith warrior is lying there." Faith warrior, Saint Damien Arcadius, is back. The scene changes to City O and Country R. Soldiers approached a house in the ice fields. They knocked an old man with white hair came. He was retired, a national hero unknown to history. Soldiers saluted this old veteran. "Your country and comrades need help. The glacial warrior, even Pushkin, are returning." An old generation returned warriors to the stage. After God's retreat, the warriors' surprise attack failed. These warriors began a major sweep of humanity. They would purify them mercilessly now. 4 warriors act alone separately. Minsa Kim walked alone at war's end, facing countless tanks before him. Inside this line, a subordinate soldier reported that the sword warrior arrived already. This was unbelievable to his leader. The forward lines were breached by a warrior. How did he walk through a minefield alone? The subordinate choked up. He's not human. He used 0 abilities, no tricks. He walked casually through it. The leader rose up, saying, "We need to delay." Country R and Country I definitely wouldn't just stand by. He had heard Country R had a warrior it buried years ago, before that guy could come to save them. Whether it was army troops or the tank divisions, they'd fire really expensive weapons if they had to. They needed to buy time now, just outside the defense perimeter. Tank units were launching attacks at Minsa Kim. Minsa Kim just stood there. The soldiers laughed, a bit surprised. That's right, no matter how strong. These monster warriors get shelled with no cover. But before he could finish that, he was stunned by what he saw. Blessing of the goddess Seraphine. Minsu Kim shouldered a holy sword. Durandal. Commander, order everyone to launch another round of shelling immediately. But it was too late already. Minsa Kim activated Holy Sword Durandal's daybreak settings. He just swung it forward. Blinding light waves swept towards everyone. This was like a supernova exploding. Country N's southern region was instantly flat. Only Minsu Kim remained on the ground, holding the Holy Sword Duruncal. He gazed coldly at everything, taking more steps forward. Continuously destroying, continuously advancing ahead, continuously repeating these actions. All seemed as it should be, until the one who could stop him appeared. Minsa Kim looked at the old man approaching. The old man asked, "Was it you? The boy who pushed the world into hell again?" The glacial warrior appears on stage. The timeline goes to February 1943. Let's hear the glacial warrior's past story. During this time, this man, known to everyone, was very angry. His soldiers suffered defeats on the front, which he didn't really believe. His arms had gone to fight. They were golem warriors, Jonas and Siegfried the sword fighter. He knew not who defeated them. We shift to the battlefield now. Everywhere were iced soldiers. One man stood at the battlefield center. The young glacial warrior he was. The sword warrior standing question before him. "Why do you compromise with order and peace? Have you not any ambition?" The glacial warrior said, "I have ambition for sure. Ending war early and comrades returning home. Embrace is truly my ambition." The sword warrior said, "I thought you'd save the world. Your ambition's quite simple, it seems." He was the same in youth. He maintained world peace using his own power. The old man wanted a world without any war. And it is still like that. But now Minsa Kim raised Holy Sword Durandal. The glacial warrior tried stopping him. First he asked Minsa Kim why he wanted to destroy this entire world. What could he possibly recover or gain? Minsa Kim swung Holy Sword Durandal down mercilessly. Waves of bright light rushed across the ground toward Pushkin. Minsa Kim then said at that moment, "I no longer know my own desires." Pushkin finally understood everything. How can there be a righteous reason for this killing? When Minsu Kim struck Ivan Pushkin down, an ice turtle was spat from his mouth. Minsu Kim knew this old guy wasn't underestimated. And sure enough, Ivan Pushkin summoned a big turtle to help block attack. Minsu Kim thought that was Ivan's summoned beast. He disliked that magic warrior most. Ivan Pushkin yelled, "The game hasn't started yet, kid." Ivan Pushkin inhaled deeply some cold air, then exhaled an icy breath directly. This was Millennium Frost ability. Snow fell downwards from the sky. Minsa Kim was completely frozen. Even Pushkin is staring at Minsu Kim inside, as befitting the sword warrior truly. Normal people receiving my Millennium Frost would shatter instantly, but you still haven't changed your gaze. However, now and after, freezing Minsu Kim cannot use his full power. He has to expend his strength to suppress this cold inside his body. So Pushkin should defeat him fast before Minsu Kim expels this cold air. Pushkin suddenly then punched the giant turtle. The turtle charged toward Minsu Kim. Minsu Kim now slowly raised his holy sword to Randall, but it was too late then. A giant incoming turtle sent him flying. Meanwhile, underground ice also bounded. An old soldier is truly an old one, fighting constantly with tricks at every turn. Ivan Pushkin asked, did Minsu Kim learn any abilities? He summoned the black bear next. The black bear constantly squeezed Minsu Kim. He coughed blood hammered by that black bear. There were other opponents. Ivan Pushkin would finish them. Ivan Pushkin this time was very careful. This man was quite extraordinary. Pushkin summoned seagull flocks again to be safe. Ice seagulls formed. Towards Minsu Kim, they fluttered. Approaching Minsu Kim, their swollen bellies instantly exploded. The black bear pounced at him again. Minsu Kim's hand trembled, muttering then, "Heed my call, holy sword Durandal." The next moment arrives. The black bear was bisected by Minsu Kim's holy sword Durandal. Minsu Kim's body was now wrapped in armor. He raises holy sword Durandal, slashing at even Pushkin, muttering, disappear completely under Minsu Kim's great fear. Even Pushkin's head then leaves his body. This result made Minsu Kim slightly dazed, because Ivan Pushkin was a magic warrior. He pressured Minsu Kim using range advantage as well. The magic warrior also had unpredictable moves. Most find it very hard to figure it. The magic warrior's attack patterns. Minsu Kim, however, was quite different. He figured out Ivan Pushkin's attack patterns already. He had fought the magic warrior before. In that great war, Minsu Kim used his invincible defense to withstand the magic warrior's many attacks. Minsu Kim was indeed holding back. He wanted his rival believe his weakness small. Short attack range, slow movement speed. But at the very last moment, the opponent lowered their guard. He struck with lightning speed to destroy their neck. This deceptive fighting style Minsu Kim was proud of. But this time, finishing off Ivan Pushkin, he felt something strange. Something was a bit off. Like something valuable was now missing. That was countless skills a warrior has, who lives for centuries, has extraordinary insight and victories beyond mere honor. Sure enough, very soon, Minsu Kim then realized there was no blood cutting off Ivan Pushkin's head. Everything was confirmed instantly. Ivan Pushkin rushed from his own body. Then he stabbed Minsu Kim's chest. Minsu Kim coughed up some blood. Ivan Pushkin said fiercely, "You sword warriors always seem to like cutting necks." Minsu Kim now slashed at him with a sword. But Ivan Pushkin shouted loudly again, "Your counterattacks are also very predictable." Ivan Pushkin summoned a massive giant squid. He swung, sending Minsu Kim flying away. Minsu Kim struggled getting up. He felt cold air from his heart spreading. Even the goddess's protection was not effective. If he stayed, he would probably freeze to death. Ivan Pushkin was across him. He summoned a giant humpback whale. It pressed towards Minsu Kim like a mountain. But under Minsu Kim's holy sword Daruncle, the humpback whale was split in two. But Ivan Pushkin saw Minsu Kim's arms trembling. His body was corroded by cold air. Ivan Pushkin opened his mouth again. "Let's end this game now." He summoned packs of silver wolves at Minsu Kim. Even Pushkin observed the scene, believing the previous sword warrior only lasted this far, wondering could Minsu Kim withstand it. Minsu Kim dodged the wolf attacks now. 30 seconds remained before complete body function loss. He decided to go all in. Separate holy sword Durandal. At that instant, silver wolves are pierced by thousands of swords. Minsu Kim approached Ivan Pushkin with two holy sword Durandals. Even Pushkin got serious. Right then, he may be stronger the last generation's sword warrior. That's okay, your body freezes solid very soon. I'll properly deal with you. Until then, Ivan Pushkin releases his killing move. Frost Undead. Even Pushkin summons many fallen warriors, including prior generations. The Golem warrior, the old sword warrior. Now Minsu Kim's enemy was many people, a whole army. 30 seconds could decide this battle's fate. It was starting, the scene changes. The old man, raised in poverty, wanted his family eating flour. He sold himself to war for 3 months. The young man experienced war's devastation soon. He wished somebody could stop this. He wanted not to die. He longed for peace now. He must beat Minsu Kim, or the world would fall into chaos. Amidst thousands of soldiers, Minsu Kim slashed frantically. Pushkin also summoned soldiers frantically. He struggled now. Blood seeped from nose. Minsu Kim faces countless sword soldiers. The golem warrior controlling skies was a trapped beast. He could only defend, unable to attack. He had been too passive. After draining Minsu Kim's power, the sword warrior, his equal, appeared. Their huge swords are clashing, creating big light waves and explosions. Minsu Kim finally collapsed. The cold was slowly affecting his body. Now his body was like ice. Blood stopped flowing completely. Minsu Kim felt like he lost at chess. But Minsu Kim stood up again, holding holy sword Durandal in mouth. Ivan Pushkin watched this scene, murmuring, "Can't you see the result?" But Minsu Kim stayed stubborn. He wanted everyone to experience the despair and pain of coming home after losing everything. Minsu Kim wanted understanding. He wanted to share his inside anger, also sorrow. He madly swung holy sword Durandal. He finally lets Ivan Pushkin experience his insanity. Ivan Pushkin could not keep watching. He tries to get Minsu Kim calmed. He jumped his palm, striking Minsu Kim. This felt like absolute 0 degrees. Minsu Kim becomes frozen by the strike. Ivan Pushkin now breathes heavily. He sighs, "I am so old." He ended the battle with his move. He is also coughing blood. Right now, golden light bursts and descends. Even Pushkin is stunned that it appeared now. The golden light headed for Minsu Kim. It hits the ground, exploding. The smoke dissipates gradually. Figures familiar to Minsu Kim merge. There is otherworld companions. Seeing Minsu Kim frozen, they yell warrior. The old man's mind is blank. He was already totally exhausted. The scene shifts to the faith warrior. Sheer followers surrounding humanity's defense. This forced humans use firepower against them. The faith warrior watched missiles flying inside. "These people fire at us unarmed." What a cruel world. These words reached her followers. The followers said to the faith warrior, "Warrior, lead us witness the miracle." The faith warrior responded, then extended her finger slowly. The instant she acted, all weapons became flower petals. This was an inhuman ability. It defied the laws of physics. She was a real monster. The officer ordered soldiers lower the attack height and fire missiles again after calling. No one responded at all. His hands turned into flower petals slowly. His whole body dissolved into flower petals. The fighter jets above also slowly turned into flower petals, exploding. Flower petals rained down everywhere from above. Just then, the faith warrior's silhouette appeared extraordinarily holy. She looked at the sky. "My martyrs view the sky. Isn't it beautiful? Humans are fighting brilliantly like flowers." Warships at sea now also attacked them. The fired shells bounced straight back. They'd almost been completely wiped out quickly. This miracle was brought by the faith warrior. Was this being kind? Perhaps the word miracle never involved kindness. Inside the command post now, a soldier reported the battle. The First Wave Air Force and Navy were totally annihilated. This was unbelievable to the commander. He never expected this battle would be difficult. They were unsure how to handle this amazing miracle. Suddenly then, a kid with a halo appears behind him saying, "That is not a miracle. I will show you all a real miracle." He was an old generation faith warrior, Damien. The man wondered how he got there. But Damien kept going instead of answering. "I did not expect anyone would still remember me. Please do believe victory is for us, child." After finishing, he directly crossed space, arriving at the location faith warriors. He represents the old generations, the faith warrior. He showed up during a pandemic hundreds years back. He cared deeply for the humans. A small miracle sealing himself after removing every disease. For every town he went through, he would make things prosperous for the orphans residing there. Now facing the faith warrior he goes. The faith warrior smiled a bit. "So there really exist other faith warriors." She bowed to Damien, greeting the faith warrior. Damien didn't seem to welcome her presence. He looked at her surrounding company. Shedding tears, he spoke. "The people nearby, you are afraid." How pathetic. This made faith warrior recall her memories. Her mother was deeply religious when she was young, verging on fanaticism sometimes. This caused her faith to grow very strong. She just wanted her mom to live happily. Her classmates distanced themselves because of her mom. There was nothing she could really do. Only with Mother would she not be alone crying. The faith warrior just smiled a little, until a terrible incident occurred. She and Mother sat together that day. The preacher suddenly came. He asked if Mother was skipping prayer meeting, so the two went inside. The faith warrior waited outside for Mother, but unexpectedly the door creaked open. Mother told her something unforgettable. Hina, he wants you inside too. These were past faith warriors. Damien's prior words reminded her. She yelled furiously at Damien. You know what I experienced? The following moment, all nearby innocent followers were murdered. The sky was filling with thunder, and a head emerged from within slowly. Slowly's body appeared before everyone. This was Mertaniel, the fallen angel, summoned by a faith warrior. The fallen angel collected dark matter, then suddenly shot it at Damien. Damien extended his hand, saying, Guardian Gatekeeper, hear my call now. The throne angel Titaniel appeared instantly. He stopped the fallen angel's attack. Inside a church, meanwhile, believers watched a large screen. It shows Damien fighting the faith warrior. A man quietly asks the Pope, Pope, I shouldn't say this stuff, but what if Damien loses? What should we even do? I know you trust him. But what if the Pope cuts him off, saying he won't lose? That fake faith warrior has a weapon. Its power is millions of terrified believers' fear. Damien's weapon is from 11 billion believers' faith. The Pope already gave documents to all churches, and believers everywhere asking people pray for Damien. We have no right to doubt him. Let's all pray together. The scene changes. The faith warrior was angry her attacks did nothing. Damien asked, Isn't it now my turn? Bell that pierces heaven above, and the bell tears earth. Please hear my calls. The cherub Samuel descends. The fallen angel lifted a massive horn blowing. Golden light gathered at the mouth of the horn. Massive fire waves surged towards the faith warrior. She could not block them. She summoned her believers to stand in front. Intense light waves crashed into their shields. The faith warrior understood. Her faith power was no match for Damien's at all. The power gap was just too immense. So now she had one choice: sacrificing her own believers, facing the enemy's frightening attack. The believers stood before the girl, clasping hands together. In life's final fading moments, he still wore a gentle smile. None of this was actually voluntary for them. They had all been fooled by faith and miracles. The warrior tossed the shielding believer aside. Having blocked the attack, she charged straight towards Damien. Raising a black sword high, she was going to strike. But Damien extended just one finger unexpectedly. The faith warrior's sword shattered instantly. Then Damien raised a palm slowly. The faith warrior stared shocked at a fan-sized palm. The next moment, a thunderous clap. Damien gave the warrior a slap, sending her head flying. Damien looked at his blood-covered hands, saying to her body, Your faith is totally worthless. The faith warrior's head plummeted towards the sea, but her body slowly repaired itself. She touched the sea surface. She completely regenerated already. She charged up to fight Damien. However, Damien didn't care about these tricks. Before his 11 billion believers, the faith warrior's power seemed feeble. Although she lost life countless times, the faith warrior used her believers. That is correct. She used her believers' lives to revive continuously. She never had regeneration techniques, only a technique of sacrifice. And in the believers' eyes, they were all willing sacrifices. The faith warrior charged Damien again and again, without any fear or hesitation. But the result was always the same. This scene repeated many thousands, even tens of many thousands of times, all achieved by the believer's sacrifice. Vibrant real lives at this moment. Damien finally seemed a little shaken, choking out. Do you want to continue knowing the final outcome? Why continue a pointless attrition war? But unexpectedly, the faith warrior laughed, saying, Old man, you listen carefully. Everything that exists has a reason. There are absolutely no meaningless actions. Indeed, the faith warrior said justly. Right at this moment, the man wearing a hat seemed to have shaken faith, shouting, Wasn't it clearly said the power of 11 billion believers could destroy easily the faith warrior? Why it hasn't happened yet? While Damien and the faith warrior were fighting, these believers witnessed the faith warrior's invincible regeneration ability he had. Doubts about faith appeared in hearts. Thus faith warrior's believer's mark appeared slowly on the hat man's body. Their faith was from fear. This rout was slowly spreading now. The former believers of Damien were changed by fearful faith gradually. At this very moment, the faith warrior fighting felt great power. Her sword wounded Damien's face. She laughed crazily. You can feel this great power. Your energy source decreases, mine increases. The faith warrior said truly. She devoured Damien's faith source continuously. Soon the power gap between the two narrowed quickly in all cities and villages. The faith warrior's believers had increased. Damien's believers were now very few. Damien understood finally now. Turns out, the faith warrior had planned it all along. If time went on longer, his faith power would dissipate. So while he still had advantage, it was time deciding the battle. Damien clasped his hands and said a prayer. Wielder of the sword of fire, spirit guide, please hear my call now. Instantly, a divine court emerged behind Damien. He used 100 million believers' faith summoning the seraphim. Michael, and right then, the faith warrior charged at Damien too. He ordered the archangel destroying this false god. The archangel immediately drew a fiery sword. The god sword could harm everything. Even faith warrior's regeneration would be useless now. But suddenly Damien felt incredible pain. He turned seeing Seraphine. Michael's fiery sword pierced his body. The mastermind was the faith warrior. She mocked humans, saying faith can vanish instantly. Let alone angels. You thought angels were fearless. Fear spreads much faster than hope ever will. That is the world's law. Damien's former believers had forgotten him already. The faith warrior might be unaccepted, but her vicious ways stirred fear deep in people's hearts. She planned using this profound fear as a weapon to detonate it finally. People discovered this in the papal chamber. They broadcast the fight to the faithful publicly. Their intention was getting more people praying for Damien, but unexpectedly they harmed him greatly. How could one person's faithful hope compare to endless fear from the faith warrior? Seeing Damien's pathetic state now, the faith warrior started mocking him. Your frightened look is so laughable. I thought that you were powerful, but you are garbage forgotten by everyone. Damien's head was severed by that faith warrior. Damien kept thinking where he went wrong. Was it that he slept too much? Damien failed because people forgot him. Then a white light appeared there. Damien went somewhere and his body was whole. A nun and children discovered him now. They exclaimed that the true saint appears. Damien was still deep in shock then, believing he entered into paradise now. He realized that the orphanage had his name. These children did not forget him. The timeline goes to Damien's youth. He was abandoned by his parents. He endured hunger daily, living among other small beggars. If he did not beg for any money, he was then bullied by the elders. Before turning 10 years old, he tragically died under a merchant's carriage. Lying there on the cold mountain road, his body gradually grew colder. He quietly wished if he had another life, he'd be born to another world, where parents love their children, and no one goes hungry ever. If capable someday, he would build such a beautiful world. He would give young children chance. They wouldn't suffer as he had suffered. Time returns to right now. Tears well up in Damien's eyes. These children reminded him why he must save humanity. Also reminded him some people still remembered him. He stood tall and asked the children, "Will you all lend me some faith?" The children totally agreed, but they didn't know how giving faith. Damien instructed them, close their eyes, put their hands together. The 3 children followed instructions. Light slowly appeared from their hands. Damien now felt light from the children. He promised the children, today, you gave me faith. Someday, I'll return a future where you can become adults. Then, Damien went to the battlefield carrying the children's life. This would become a fight until death. His foe had the faith power of over 1 billion humans. The faith warrior called all believers to charge toward Damien. Compare the warrior of faith. Damien's faith was tiny enough to hold one hand. Now, he was surrounded by believers tearing and biting. This time he must win it. He couldn't disappoint everyone's faith now. But winning this fight was almost impossible. So tiny they were, so negligible. But he never thought of retreating. And now he stared at a figure. The cherub was Samatiel, that Damien had summoned before. She had now become the faith warrior's follower and was relentlessly attacking Damien. The faith warrior also mocked that Damien was really weak. If faith could be measured by numbers, then Damien would definitely lose today. But then a miracle happened. People around the world see this miracle. Damien withstood the huge attack with his body. That possessed no faith power, because faith is not defined by things or numbers. The faith of Damien was different from the warriors. It came from many centuries ago. From small seeds of kindness he had in orphans. He taught those children correct values back then. What receiving means, what it means to give, and what sharing means. He taught children to become adults understanding sharing. This belief spread through consistent transmission, passed down through many generations. It became faith, a holy spear in Damien's hand. Though this faith was pathetically small, it could still shine a brilliant light. Damien raised the Holy Spirit, saying, "This spear holds my life's meaning. Can you really block it?" The opposing faith warrior laughed loudly. With that meager people's power, you imagine turning the tide. How utterly ridiculous furthermore. I have countless believers to sacrifice. I just need their lives to block. The faith warrior tried controlling those believers. To be a shield, she found them crying. They had now seen kindness faith, and saw how ugly their own faith was. Damien finally throws the Holy Spirit. The spear goes through the faith warrior's chest. Now she's in total agony. She arrogantly says this wound needs regeneration. She then realizes something isn't right. This spear pierces through her completely. It also washes her fear away. She understands that if things continue, the sadness, the source of all her power, would disappear, so she yells out loudly, "Stop acting like you feel sorry for me. This is all because your actions. You were supposed to come to save me sooner. Why only now at long last?" Those believers being controlled by the faith warrior also regain consciousness now. She goes completely insane. She just wants to end it all. If she could just finish Damien off, then believers would believe in her power once again. She could begin anew. The faith warrior kept charging Damien with this ugly determination. Unexpectedly, he did not dodge. The spear, therefore, connected the most righteous person with the most evil. Damien hugged her with both his arms, gently saying the one deserving salvation is you. Poor girl, she struggled to get free. Damien held her and the spear reeled tightly. "Is all good, child? Everything is okay now." The faith warrior's arms fell. She asked if you heard our prayers then. What would happen? Damien stared into her eyes, saying, "If I had only heard sooner." Never giving up on any lonely child is my creed. Golden rain started falling from above. That big bell Damien once sealed himself with appeared. Damien took the faith warrior inside it. This dormant period would last unknown years. The scene now changes to City S. The transformation warrior in Country A. Stevenson argued with military personnel because Stevenson had requested them moving all Western military forces east. The soldiers were objecting continuously. Country K's transformation warrior approaches frantically. The West Coast quickly. You will not stop him, wanting him advancing. Stevenson explained attacks are not the way winning battles. The current weapons cannot threaten this transformation warrior. My suggestion is preventing those soldiers from dying needlessly. Monsters should fight other monsters. So I decided to face him alone. This prompted Country A's decision-makers discussing lengthily. Finally, the president speaks. He asked Stevenson what humans could do. Stevenson said, "You just do human things, like helping people evacuate quickly, compared to a cold machine like me. People trust fellow humans unconditionally more." The president adjusted his spectacles, saying, "All right then, Ms. Stevenson. Everything now is up to only you. But I disagree on one small point. Don't call yourself some monster. Everything you did is heroic." Stevenson bowed deeply to everyone present. The scene changes to skies above El City West. The transformation warrior had already arrived, but scanning the whole area, he found absolutely no one. But this did not matter much. He would level this entire place anyway. He was about to use weapons. Stevenson suddenly appeared before him. Observing her form, the transformation warrior mentioned, "This one's shape obviously shows she was not created using modern technology. Must be an ancient generation warrior that the resurrection warrior spoke about." Stevenson said, "Initially, I know you hacked the God's Retreat network, causing billions to suffer terribly. Now you come here to cause much more casualties." The transformation warrior then also spoke up. "Based upon my algorithmic logic structure, I really cannot analyze your intentions at all. Do you hope I will confess everything here?" Stevenson wanted the transformation warrior to fully confess. He took billions of many lives. and with his awesome technology, rebuild this whole world. He might still save 1 billion humans. The transformation warrior heard this, then burst out laughing. Looks like you were not modified. Your words defy standard logic totally. Stevenson, though, replied, we started as humans, and sometimes humans defy logic. So as your predecessor, I'll give you one last chance. But the transformation warrior stays stubborn. Chances are what the strong give the weak. You're just some old junk modified ages ago. What can you fight me with? Talking to you is really pointless. The transformation warrior unleashed 70% of his seal and attacked many missiles fired towards Stevenson. The transformation warrior simply sneered. Blame the world if you're going to scrap metal. Big explosions rang aloud. The thick smoke then cleared. Stevenson appeared completely unharmed figure. The transformation warrior feels shocked. This guy could withstand his quantum missiles. And that barrier technology too. He had never seen it before. Stevenson says, I have returned for many years. Did you think I was slacking off? I am using technology from another world. I worked with humans you hate, developing it in new ways, and stopping the disaster. Warriors appearing in 100 years' time. I made something very special. Stevenson said, city deactivating invisibility now. A huge structure appeared above City S. A giant city, a weapon. For the final warrior battle, humans prepared this for descendants. Built with talents and sacrifices. Show some respect during battle. Hundreds of years ago now, Stevenson joined Project M. She worked with top scientists, preventing war outbreaks. Her body rediscovered human feelings. But danger continues. Through some unknown means, Stevenson found out new generation warriors would show up. They were unsure if these future warriors were good or bad. So after Project M, they started the S City Project. They hoped these weapons they made would not ever see any light of day. The timeline goes back to now. Country A's command relays to Stevenson. That L City personnel had been evacuated. So Stevenson could really fight freely, without worrying about any civilian casualties at all. Stevenson in distant L City felt relieved. She started the program right behind her. S City extended a chain, pulling her in. Now she merged with S City. She was one with the giant city. The S City battle plan started now. She launched 12 Leozollard missiles fast. The transformation warrior stayed calm. He wanted to see the human methods. Obsolete for 100 years now. He used his shield, missiles landed on him. But then the smoke cleared. The transformation warrior was totally unharmed. He launched a counterattack. Stevenson also used her defense system. Circular drones appeared. Each shot strange energy beams, withstanding the transformation warrior's powerful attack. Right then, the orb analyzed the battle situation. Drone damage is 27%, defense succeeded. Enemy main cannon is inactive. Stevenson prepared to fire Oppenheimer-class cannons. Cannons rose up then. Waves of blue energy fired towards the transformation warrior. The transformation warrior grew serious now. This 100-year-old fortress was formidable per his calculations. Victory rate for battle modes was low. Breakthrough combat was 83% successful. He switched to jet propulsion mode, resembling a fighter jet completely. Stevenson across from him marveled. It's 100 years of otherworld development. This fluid form was super incredible. Just like so, the transformation warrior charged the fortress's barrier directly. Stevenson quickly commanded AI send more energy. If transformation warrior breached inside, the fortress would be useless then. The transformation warrior said suddenly, now your turn, Iron Arm Warrior. Iron Arm Warrior had hidden inside the transformation warrior body. Stevenson panicked now instantly. Iron Arm Warrior began tearing the barrier. Stevenson ordered AI more barrier energy. AI warned drones would overload, and they explode for more energy. The Iron Arm Warrior is furiously tearing. The barrier was ripped a large hole. They successfully entered the city's interior. The transformation warrior sneered now. Human smarts are completely useless against the overwhelming power of us warriors. Do you know why you failed? Because you peacefully coexist with these flawed beings, so-called humans. The transformation warrior fires missiles at Stevenson. The timeline goes back to long ago. Hear the story of older generation. Transformation warrior named Stevenson. A girl was getting beaten by a man. This was because she took it upon herself repairing the factory's machines. Then a gentleman stopped him. He'd confirmed the girl had really fixed the machine. The gentleman was obviously high status. He sat down chatting with the girl, saying she fixed the machine. Its power output greatly decreased. However, it's working normally, using only factory tools. No standard equipment used. It was already impressive. You must be in night school. But surprisingly, no. The girl has 6 older siblings and 3 little ones. Only her brothers went to school. This surprised him. The girl never went to school, meaning she was a rare talent. The gentleman revealed his purpose. He wanted her at his workshop as the city's top engineer. He could teach her engineering. So through this chance, they became working partners. The girl was Marie, the gentleman Stevenson. They researched stuff together, attended many academic conferences and lectures together, until Stevenson had an accident and died. That day, Stevenson spoke his last words to Marie. He heard every scientist before dying thinks about an achievement named after them. But Stevenson wished Marie could be that achievement. Looking at Marie's eyes, he apologized. I am sorry. My possessions, my research institute, the papers I want to give you, are now burned to ashes. But I want to give you something. Take my name, dear Marie. Marie looked into his eyes and said tearfully, now on, I am Marie Stevenson. From then on, Stevenson immersed herself in Stevenson's unfinished research daily. Finally came one day. She died from exhaustion, returning as the transformation warrior. She joined human geniuses, leaving behind their combined achievements. The timeline now returns to now. A new generation transformation warrior wants to destroy these achievements, destroy humanity at this moment now. The transformation warrior, Iron Arm Warrior, were destroying a city frantically. AI continuously alerted Stevenson. Missile infrastructure system failed. Defense functions system is down. Main cannon destroyed those achievements. Former colleagues' legacies are slowly disappearing. Achievements proved she had mechanical body. She was so human as her colleagues, then were crumbling. Those inhuman warriors were destroying what remained her humanity. Her colleagues' humanity too. Stevenson's body trembled. She spoke. These people are so cold-blooded, more inhumane than even my mechanical body. They plan to destroy human civilization. Selfless dedication now happens. Stevenson knew she must prevent all of this. The AI was hers. Push S city off orbit, preparing her body for battle. Stevenson was in the modification platform center. The final armament process begins. The epic battle to save humanity starts soon. The timeline goes back centuries. Stevenson had then arrived in the parallel world. But to live in this world, she had to give up being human. Modifications started with her fingers to improve her fighting strength. Her arms got modified to be more agile. Her legs were changed. Stevenson looked at her body silently. It was slowly no longer human. But this was not the end. To boost her output, her internal organs were removed too. She endured this great pain to get back to the world where somebody was waiting, and also to live longer. Their first action as warriors was to get modifications and give up their humanity. And after they finally get back to humans' world, humans would view them like emotionless machines or terrible monsters. The transformation warrior also experienced the same things as Stevenson. She was only faced with fear from humans' attacks. The story returns now. Whereas City broke from orbit and drifted into space. Now the transformation warrior will get serious. She releases her seal, activating 100% decompression buster mode. Firing purple lasers continuously, she attacks Stevenson. Stevenson is keeping pace now. They start their intense battle. Following a gunsmoke burst, the two reach an understanding. They put down ranged weapons, instead activating their protective shields. They will engage in close combat. Protective shields create an explosion due to energy repulsion. Meanwhile, Iron Arm Warrior cannot stay idle. He needs to create an opening for Transformation Warrior, and victory is much easier then. But a laser beam shoots him. Looking back, he sees some robots. The intelligent robot declares loudly, Miss Marie's interview time isn't done. We must eliminate this uninvited guest now. Iron Arm Warrior replies, looks like that one is back up. No one in this whole city remains idle. On Stevenson's side, she launches forward her arm. The detached arm becomes a giant hammer. She's reattaching her arm. The transformation warrior's hand blade slashes down fast. She will not let Stevenson reassemble. The transformation warrior is about to succeed, though. A barrage of shells fires at her suddenly. Stevenson's powerful voice rings out. I said before, these are human achievements. Human crystallizations. Her arm reattaches now, swinging a giant hammer at the warrior. She declares, how could I fight you by myself? I'm human with unbreakable bonds. This hammer strike makes the whole city tremble. Yet the transformation warrior withstands it surprisingly. The intense battle ignites again. Stevenson now gains the upper hand through centuries of combat experience and a strong determination to fight bravely. Both their bodies now are damaged. The transformation warrior lets out a huge roar, unable to know why Stevenson sides with humans. You're also a monster rejected by people. We are beyond humans. A superior species, the older generation. I really hate you. You could have transformed the world long ago. You could have become god of the world, turning warriors to giants, worshipped by all and then me. I will not be like this now. A fiend forced into evil. Why did you stay underground? Why you live among humans, enjoying your life before our return? Stevenson now answers. She is not a god, but human. She does not want godhood, or to be a monster weapon, or a warrior, much less a machine. She just wants a normal life. She longs for human things, hoping for her former self. Though humans reject her now, she never ever expected everyone's acceptance. This pain she wanted to process by herself. She won't be a victim, because she was a chosen warrior. In time's vortex, Stevenson struggles, standing then speaks. Humans do not need understanding us. Nobody can force understanding from humans. Stevenson remembers the past. Stevenson was resting during wartime. A soldier did not avoid her cold machine. He gently handed her chocolates, saying, our squad survived thanks to you. I don't know about chocolate, but really thank you, our great comrade. This vague friendship changed Stevenson perhaps. No matter the passing time, her comrades never forgot her. Finally, Stevenson solemnly tells the warrior. Opposite her, a new generation. Transformation warrior, I am ready to go as a human. You say that you hate humans and want to destroy all humans. I know you desire that more than anyone, wishing to be human. These words make the transformation warrior briefly reflect. She falls into the memories when human. She then was a naive, pure, flesh and blood human being. The transformation warrior answers with a hoarse voice. When coming back, I'd lost everything I had. Everyone was staring at me like a monster. I just returned with them. You would believe I'd return. Now I am a monster. Without humanity, I had no other choice. Stevenson isn't wrong speaking again. New generation, thanks for sharing your feelings. I decided we should end all this. The scene changes robots thinking. These robots are controlled by AI calling Stevenson teacher. The smart robot tells Stevenson something. It doesn't understand hurting other humans, proving they're human, showing humanity, belonging to this world, burning this world. Actually, besides them, Earth people assert their humanity, ignoring other people's humanity. They start fires, wars, contradicting others. Teacher, human existence wearies me. Now the intelligent robot has a weapon, ending this evil warrior before it. But the Iron Arm warrior acts arrogantly. You dare stop me. Looks like you're the only one. Bring that on. It thrusts a sword at the Iron Arm warrior. But this is useless, and the Iron Arm warrior celebrates victory. The smart robot lying down keeps on pondering. I do not understand you fight for others. Not these flawed beings. Teacher, why do I fight twisted foes? Saving this world. Your eyes now shine brighter than any. Meanwhile, Stevenson. Her battle reaches its climax with a warrior. She also answers the robot's words, Asimov. That is the smart robot's name. Stevenson tells Asimov this shows I am no machine. Those great scientists, also scholars. They researched their whole entire lives and dedicated their lives to dreams only they achieve. I am Stevenson. I researched this stuff without ruining my life. So I'll leave this world as a human that is my greatest life achievement. After I can save the next generation. Transformation warrior, my former self, or maybe my descendant. Stevenson opens the control room hatch slowly. She will use her last resort to save the warrior. In the world, this hatch opens gradually. The transformation warrior is very confused right now. Stevenson sees the transformation warrior's face. She knows she's facing her past self. She also knows it's her last chance to be fully human. Let's end this now, future me. As of today, I will depart being human, a person who leaves the rest for future generations, a human able to dry tears and give comfort. Stevenson injects a serum vial into the transformation warrior body. The transformation warrior curses and grabs Stevenson. She cannot remove the serum from her chest. She roars wildly at Stevenson. What you did to me, it seems, during 100 years. Stevenson did not use all of her energy, resisting future warriors' attacks. She also replaced all body parts, except her forebrain, using organic matter, essentially a human body. The transformation warrior sees the serum and says, "Could this be why you didn't use this?" Stevenson smiles gently, then says, "Because I am already a human." The transformation warrior now truly cries. How can she be human like this? Stevenson replies, "This is a gift for you. Please come out from that coal machine body. Take the chance as a fellow human. I am offering you." The transformation warrior won't run away. She lets go of Stevenson's hand now. Stevenson's body falls heavily groundward. Her body is completely broken. The smart robot approaches, asking teacher then, "You truly have no regrets?" Stevenson weakly says, "Since the warriors invaded S City, this battle's outcome was determined. My method now is to save everybody. Besides, regret is an emotion only felt by humans." The AI robot then says, "The Iron Arm warrior still lives. Should we act now?" Stevenson tells it activate S City's self-destruct sequence. The AI robot nods slowly. Stevenson calls the robot's name lastly. "Asimov, thank you for working so hard. That young child is with you. Stay by her, protecting her, enjoying this world like humans do." Stevenson currently smiles. Later, a Stevenson-like girl awakens inside a lab. Confused, she touches her face. It's warm now. The smart robot comes near. The girl asks the smart robot quietly, "Why did the old generation warriors save old me? And why forgive me? What do you expect from me?" The intelligent robot then explains, when they initially met, Stevenson told the transformation warrior, "Save other humans." The warrior didn't then agree. But Stevenson saw humanity's final trace in the transformation warrior eyes. She trusted your humanity twisted and also wounded, then chose long-awaited eternal sleep. The current situation now is, your bad companions were dealt with by teacher. And one country believes teacher has left the world. You are a newborn human without any worries now. How will you now spend your remaining life? Garamly, the transformation warrior, thought deeply a while. Should she run, living an ordinary life, or continue coexisting with those evil beings, or follow Stevenson, bringing hope to this world? Finally then, she decides to join the intelligent robot, finding the spear warrior. She needs to tell him something before he meets the resurrection warrior. Meanwhile, inside the reconstruction department, the long-absent resurrection warrior leisurely watches the screen, showing various major events happening during this time. He summarizes stuff. These old folks were strong than previously imagined. Now at this moment, he sighs 2 powerful pieces have been removed. He draws his gun and mutters aloud, "Should we reset time? Trying again." As he's ending himself, he suddenly sees something's not quite right. He laughs. Minsu Kim's friends have now appeared. It'd be too disrespectful reversing time now, without seeing the real end. All right then, Minsu Kim, show me your little story. Unlike those playing make-believe, all causality seems like a game. To the resurrection warrior, as he plays with this world, the scene returns to Minsu Kim and Pushkin. Minsu Kim's companions descended here just now. The old man hasn't figured out why. Minsu Kim, trapped, could summon companions. Or maybe they weren't summoned at all. One thing is clear, they must save Minsu Kim. The old man can't bother with much else. He wants to end Minsu Kim immediately. But his companions will not agree. They roughly understood the situation here now. The warrior in ice wants to deal that old man. The old man shouts loudly, "It's a misunderstanding. This guy is not the warrior anymore." But in Minsu Kim's companion's eyes, Minsu Kim was always a gentle warrior. This old man is probably trying to destroy everything. The warrior now wants to protect the Demon King in his world. Now they regain their previous fighting teamwork. They must help Minsu Kim stand strong again. They're unsure if they can beat this powerful foe, Demon King, but regardless of what happens, they will try hard to defeat the former world-saving warrior. If possible, they really want to save the world. So they charge the old man together. What a ridiculous scene. It is Minsu Kim aims not to save his world now, but destroy everything. The timeline goes back to before Minsu Kim returned. This was just before his departure happened. That evening, the priestess visited his chambers. She planned casting a magic spell, though not knowing if it would even work. After Minsu Kim got to his original world, she just needs to support him before dying. This spell's effect shared lifespan changes. They came to Minsu Kim's world. She sensed Minsu Kim's lifespan decreasing rapidly. The timeline is back to now. These warriors continuously attack the old man. Two girls try freeing Minsu Kim from ice. The fairy bell asks the priestess to back off. She will melt this ice. She then summons a fire spirit. Ignite his palms, shoot fire waves. Fire waves hit the ice, causing explosions. After smoke clearing away, the ice block is totally undamaged. The priestess mutters benevolent, loving seraphim. Grant me great ability to see mana. Next moment, she opens wide her eyes, seeing a formation above the ice block. Minsu Kim, this ice is special. A magic formation like a defense array. The priestess orders Belle support the other companions. She stays alone, breaking the seal. The old man now is exhausted. He lacks the strength to use large-scale attacks. He can only fight a guerrilla war. He summons many seagulls to attack the man. Jean, that man, only knows close combat, so he's struggling fighting the old man. But a shield warrior stands before him. He loudly roars, Lord of Stone Mountain, please grant me an unbreakable wall. This short man's name is Dial Man. Specializing in strong defense, they're longtime war companions, working together with awesome coordination. However that may be, the old man they face is the Demon King that defeated Minsu Kim, so no one can be careless. Right now at this time, Minsu Kim's female companion shoots at the sky. She then says, sorry, everyone, I wasted time understanding the world situation. This arrow creates a huge formation in the sky. The girl whispers skyfall. Steel rain. Suddenly, many arrows shoot down from the formation. This causes the old man to sigh. Why you kids are trying to stop my dealing with this world destroying Demon King? The old man summons the huge turtle, barely blocking this attack. Fortunately, this turtle absorbed their large-scale magic technique. The old man wants to drain their energy, then eliminate one when they cannot support quickly. As the old man is planning to act, Jean is skilled in close combat, charges toward him, and the old man fell. They're all very battle-hardened veterans. Jin's body forms a huge fist. This fist is the ultimate heavy fist. The old man summons the giant turtle quickly to defend. But the old man doesn't know Jin's fist is really powerful. This strike almost killed the old man. His giant turtle shattered. Jin then flexes a wrist and jokes. Back then, the sword warrior dealt damage. But my super penetrating self broke the Demon King's armor. Jin wants to end the old man's life now. Minsu Kim's companions stop their actions. The snowflakes dancing also freeze instantly. Something froze time apparently. A girl appears, she alone can move. She flies to the dying man, saying softly, a cruel fate, my warrior. The old man struggles, speaking her name. The snow goddess witch. The snow woman strokes his forehead, murmuring, you are at rope's end, with only an aged body. How pitiful it is. The old man asks about her last warrior. This generation's frozen warrior lost to the Demon King. In her reality, everyone but the old man was gone. The old man laughed sadly. You only came when I'm alone. What a strange girl did you come to observe my death. The snow woman stared at the old man, saying, though you'll die now, your eyes are so hopeful. Do you have unfinished things? Do you want to destroy the enemy? The old guy mumbled, grant me power to guard this earth. The snow woman asked him about an exchange. The old man struggled, speaking, life, soul, anything. Whatever you want, I'll offer you. If I can protect my people, if it all remains safe, if I may stop this, if I could prevent this problem, I can give you everything. But now the snow woman shifted her tone. You are dying, what life do you have? I cannot take souls, but I must take from you. So give me your memories. Frozen warrior, give to me those glorious histories of your life. The old man gently says, take them, because start to finish, I never wanted being a warrior. I persevered one purpose only, protecting this world, letting humans loving each other, instead of killing at this time. The snow woman sheds warm tears also. You are old, frail, with white hair. Your conviction still moves me much. Truly you are my finest warrior. Spending these years does not matter now. Now on I Am Your Tool, ending war. Finally, Minsu Kim companions return to normal. They do not know what occurred. They all saw that woman. They don't know her though. They know she must have been buying time for the old man. Right at this moment, Jean has a suspicion. That old man just got his strength restored by her. He immediately runs towards the old man. He must confirm while Dio Man behind him yells to come back. This is reckless, and just then, Jean freezes in place, telling Dio Man to escape quickly. The old man has totally become a monster. They are like ants to him, standing face to face. They feel he is a monster beyond all reason, greater than the sword warrior. Jean yells for Dio Man to run away. He can only hold out maybe 10 minutes. Dio Man says without that sword warrior, they cannot beat this monster. They must defend his side until the sword warrior escapes. Finally, old man runs away first, telling Jean to last just a minute. Then you can quickly get away. Only 2 of them remain there. He starts the ultimate array. 8 trigrams are ready. The old man, fused to the snow woman, points his finger. Next, piles of human skeletons appear. This pressure makes Jean struggle breathing. Jean still thinks his 8 trigrams give a perfect virtual boundary that can increase body reaction speed, technique speed, and power multiplied by 8, reducing stamina energy consumption by 8 times 2. If the monster stays completely still, then Jean has a slim chance to win. His body emits bursts of fire, unleashing heavy punches on the monster. Now he holds back nothing. Next, the story of Minsu Kim's companion Jean. This boy learned to read and defeated his uncle, who was the next head. He cut off the Demon King's head at 12, the invading army commander, the day before coming of age. He was the youngest head ever. He defeated 127 fellow disciples alone. He was so very powerful nobody practiced with him. Jin's name was leader of the Great Beast Tribe, a mixed blood kid of the War Empress. Today, people came now to the village. The leader asked for some directions. When Jean first saw him, he knew he was a really powerful man. So silently, he clenched his fists. He bravely charged at him. This encounter was his first defeat. To be stronger, Jean joined this warrior's group. In many days together, though, he found no chance to grow because the sword warrior, Minsu Kim, was just too strong. Every fight refreshed Jin's understanding of him. As time went on, Minsu Kim grew even stronger. Jean lived in this very powerful one's shadow. This man also granted him a totally different life, taught him about handling courage. But the timeline returns now. He begins understanding what that real strength means. Heavy punches continue firing. He mutters continuously to himself, staying unwavering. It's just me and my enemy, and cherished companions are watching over me. Now, I can do it, I can catch his steps. Why he's so mighty strong. That's the mission protecting our world. The old man summons a big beast now. Jean takes a hit, companions behind are shot. And right now, 18 minutes, 21 seconds until Sword Warrior thaws. The timeline goes back to Minsu Kim. First arrival in the parallel world. His 2 companions are chatting now. They have nicknames. The girl is Big Ears. The old guy is called Shorty. Right now, the girl complains about Minsu Kim's arrival. She's saying he's totally muscleless, looking so weak, frail, his puffy eyes from crying. She also claims if Shorty gave the holy sword to Minsu, he probably cannot catch slime. Her mood instantly drops. It seems their world is doomed. This warrior seems so very weak. Shorty then remembers Minsu Kim once told him, "I want helping you all I can, then return after it is over." Shorty then asks if Big Ears were you. Would you give everything saving a world? That means nothing to you. Big Ears quickly says no. Who wants to become a sacrifice, saving a world that isn't theirs? Actually, even Shorty did, spending half his life on many battlefields. Might not be doing it. He unhesitatingly protects his dear hometown, but if told to leave to defend others, he does not want it. That guy already made his own mind. Shorty now believes for this alone. Minsu Kim really deserves being a warrior. Big Ears then asked Shorty, "Does this mean you fight alongside him?" Short guy nodded. He did not want kind people like Minsu falling into villains' hands, meeting a tragic fate. Big Ears stood up, joking now. "Such a small dwarf, you talk cool. I might join in with you too." The timeline now returns to the present. Everyone shouted Jin's name loudly. The priestess is now breaking the formation. Completing will take a very long time. But their teammates seem to be unable to hold on. The short guy suddenly shouted, Remember why we all came here despite knowing we couldn't return. They all now shed hot tears. They were to become the Sword Warriors' very last defense line. From the very moment they decided to come here, they had already prepared themselves for this one-way journey. Big Guy falls deep into thought. The priestess solemnly stated the main purpose for coming here, saving the warrior, yet nothing else. If it were not for the warrior, their world would now have collapsed long ago. So they arrived for the warrior's sake. However strong the enemy, however cruel the real outcome, as long we can save the warrior, that is enough. Everyone pick up your weapons. It's our turn saving the warrior. The short guy shouted, "O Lord, steal Empress Mountains," and 100 warriors successfully held 20,000 Demon King's troops back. I die, O man, the rightful guardian of all travelers. Earnestly pray you grant unbreakable iron for this land, unshatterable glass soil that never scatters around. The short guy summoned a giant steel fortress then. The old man, who would become a monster, summoned swarms, ice skeletons surging toward here. They seem to have consciousness, climbing ice ladders toward the fortress top. The fortress the short guy summoned was formidable. Batteries, cannons, continuously bombarding all the ice skeletons. The scene moves inside the steel fortress, where they do not need worrying about defense. They need to consider seizing air superiority, finding the right moment attacking. The Demon King Big Ears yelled to Bell, release it now." Bell heard, then nodded solemnly, murmuring, "O loving elf dragon spirit, please my small body as vessel descend." Now Belle's wings radiated unique brilliance. Then she transformed into an elf dragon form. Big Ears immediately jumped on a dragon's back. Today they risked their lives exerting power beyond. However, power seemed so futile before Glacial Warrior. An instant that short guy, Big Ears and Belle, all sacrificed themselves there. Only Priestess, who was breaking into Kim's seal, remained now. The steel fortress was also in ruins. This place had become ground trampled at will. The old man looked at everything happening below. Extending finger, he whispered softly, "It's finally over. The sword warrior slaughter begins. Calamity's origin." A bright light came from the old guy. The summoned monster charged at the priestess. The priestess used her last magic, extending her staff. She then slammed her staff down hard. She placed her hands on Minsu gently. "Now, warrior," she softly said then, "before you came here, I truly hated your guts. Now, hear the priestess's tale now." The girl was dedicated to the world-saving warrior. Since childhood, she couldn't just be someone, a woman, friend, wife, or disciple. Her soul, life, and purity, everything the warrior owned, all. Disobeying meant severe beatings. She was beaten badly. It concerned 100 million lives' safety. She couldn't refuse ever here. Obedience was her life only. She accepted reality, becoming a priestess. Priestesses accompany warriors through generations. They comfort their homesickness, sometimes using fake love, sacrificing even their pure bodies, giving warriors determination to save the world. Before Minsu Kim arrived, the elders pressured this priestess, forcing a fake relationship with Minsu Kim. She ate food daily, hard to swallow, learning all sorts of stuff that was messy. She wanted to be no priestess. Warriors had nothing to do with her. But Minsu Kim was very different. He was unique. He was not enchanted by her beauty. He never forced doing anything on her. He gave the priestess security and warmth. At important moments following each failure, Minsu Kim blamed the errors on his own weakness. Minsu Kim, he believed the priestess would always stay near. He saved this world. The timeline now returns to the now. The priestess cried loudly this time, "We will save you now." The seal on Minsu Kim began breaking, but the ice skeletons made by the old man also came toward this place. Now the priestess smiled. This smile was her last to her beloved. She softly says, "My warrior, I must tell you something." Those words weren't finished. The priestess falls. Minsu Kim awoke from the seal. His hair turned pure white now. His only friends had sacrificed themselves, including the girl he truly loved. He was hurting much now. Eyes were brimming with tears. He could not accept this. While he was sealed away, he experienced a nightmare. He's transported to an unknown world. To get back home, he must defeat the demon lord, save this land. He trains for 1 year, gains strength and friends. They defeated the demon lord together. Minsu Kim saved the world, returned home successfully, but he discovered his family were all gone. Friends' whole society abandoned him. No one accepted him. He was extremely heartbroken, beyond heart-piercing pain, beyond sobbing of pain, making life much worse than death. His heart was cut by knives. He walked streets like a zombie. He understood, not could forgive what happened. Everything was so unfair. In his grief, he donned his old armor. Then he raised his great sword slowly. But how could this be armor that withstood the Demon King's attacks? There his sadness, his tears fell inside the armor. Actually doing this stuff could not. First came the grief. That day he became the enemy of everyone. In the following time, anyone who came to confront him, people who seemed happier, those who tried to stop him, were eliminated by his hand. Right now, he had to destroy others' joy, to ease the pain inside him. He knew he shouldn't be doing this. He was falling into the dark, but knowing didn't help. Could he ever recover? He was once happy and average. He just wanted a normal existence. Now he was a monster. He looked at his friends' corpses. Tears flowed. These were punishment for all his sins. His companions, their final sacrifice. Still believing Min-Soo Kim was that same gentle, ordinary warrior. Min-Soo Kim released an earth-shattering scream. He could not believe that it was real. How so much bad luck could strike someone. The old guy on the throne softly spoke now. You can feel this heart-tearing pain. This is the terrible pain of loss. Min-Soo Kim finally stopped his crying. The old man gave an ultimatum. Huge ice skeletons swarmed toward Min-Soo Kim. Min-Soo Kim felt such pain. His blessed sword Durandal began vibrating wildly too, sensing Min-Soo Kim's profound sadness. He got hit by the old guy next. He got smashed down hard, losing one arm now. Min-Soo Kim said that it's done. I lost, all is over now. The old man thought he seemed near breaking. Now a wave would destroy Min-Soo Kim. A finger slightly raised. All ice skeletons started gathering. Min-Soo Kim stood completely still. The old man's skill fully charged. This killing moves called human skeletons. Ice skeletons merged into a big sphere. The old man waved his right hand. The human skeletons rushed at Min-Soo Kim. Min-Soo Kim still stood without moving, softly saying, "Cruel the world can be." Ice skeletons began gnawing his body. His face still showed no expression. Physical pain inflicted was far less than the grief his heart. He seemed to fall into abyss. He cried out a word. This tragic world shouldn't have existed. No one has suffered more. Everything should be anyway destroyed. I have nothing. I will be alone. So everything just vanished. In Min-Soo Kim's world, there were no warriors or demon kings originally. People became warriors by only being chosen. Then return here on this day. This world's demon king arrives. Min-Soo Kim's lips form a slight smile. He slowly rose at this instant. He seemed like another person. He muttered, "My call." Holy Sword Duranko in this moment. Holy Sword Duranko was surrounded by waves of blood-colored light, rapidly changing itself. While Min-Soo Kim's hurt body was constantly healing, the battle armor also materialized on him slowly. This world's real demon king arrived. He decided to destroy the world. Hear my summons, Holy Sword Duranko. Right now, thousands of skeletons were destroyed by Min-Soo Kim. Holy Sword named Duranko. The old man summoned many ice dragons. They are charging straight at Min-Soo Kim. But Min-Soo Kim waved his right hand. The ice dragon was cut at half. The old man couldn't sit anymore. That power wasn't from Warrior's World. Once they defeated that demon king, they are constrained by world's laws. Unable, growing stronger, the old man saw that guy. Min-Soo Kim was just like him. He had stopped being warrior. Min-Soo Kim now had his body reforged with power. He stood up slowly. The old man watched, then thought. Everything had turned too strange. This was beyond a war now. Min-Soo Kim became Doomsday all because the old man. He couldn't allow Min-Soo Kim continue destroying this world. He kept launching his abilities to the sky. The old man, who would become a monster, was way stronger than the Sword Demon King. He summoned many clusters of ice skeletons. But under Min-Soo Kim's one finger, many ice skeletons turned to dust. The old man raised his spear Marzana and charged toward Min-Soo Kim bravely. Min-Soo Kim showed no intention to dodge. He got pierced straight through the chest. The old man grabbed his head. He did not want any mercy. He summoned the giant axe Velith. The whole world was in his hands. He yelled, "Only your death can save this world disappear." The giant axe was going to strike Min-Soo Kim. His body was entangled by golden threads. The old man's body was torn up. The old generation's glacial warrior fell. Minsu Kim's body fell down heavily. He whispered, "There's no salvation here." No, it did not exist. At this very moment, the scene cuts to the resurrection warrior's position. He was there crying at the screen and clutching a popcorn bag. He was not watching a melodrama, but watching Minsu Kim fight the old guy. He waited so long this moment. He experienced 374,581 regressions, going through time's river for 150,000 years. Now he really succeeded. He had finally made a demon king. Now Minsu Kim was beyond warriors. His steps made blood flow rivers. His presence destroyed all life. The world was what Minsu Kim wanted, and everything the old warriors sacrificed meant nothing at all. The demon-slaying warrior became the demon king, slaughtering many lives freely. They treat life like worthless trash. Stevenson sacrifices himself. The old man and Damien sacrificing everything seemed so insignificant. But this story is not over yet. Jungsu Park, the scene shifts to a country, one island. The spear warrior appears. Jungsu Park was healing his injured body there. That sweet horn girl remained by his side. She is asking Jungsu Park about his own arm. Jungsu Park said he's fine. He was almost used to it, and it seemed way stronger than before. The girl pointed at her head horns. "Of course your arm is from my horns." But Jungsu Park sighed about losing all his spears. Without his spear world spears, he could not exchange other weapons. Actually, the girl already thought about that. She planned retrieving the spears, buried beneath the reconstruction department building, along with other warriors' equipment. However, Jungsu Park interrupted her words, saying, "Aren't there still some followers? And evil warriors were guarding that place. Will the strategy even work?" But now, the girl told Jungsu Park he don't need to involve. He needed to defeat the sword warrior. Jungsu Park experienced a serious battle. He couldn't exert himself physically or mentally. Jungsu Park was very confused. The girl explained some people helped them. They lay the groundwork, we trust them. Meanwhile, the scene changes to a plaza. The wall had a mural of the sword warrior. Minsu Kim, these people were indoctrinated by someone. A guy was giving a speech. They should all submit to those warriors, so they could be happy citizens of this new world. Someone was monitoring everything from a nearby building. The woman has an eye patch. Was the reconstruction department's leader. Yeji, the observing woman, asked, "Is it time to shoot?" Yeji said go. The verdant warrior said, "We can start now." The woman's Barrett hit the speaking man. The followers below scattered frantically. The sacred relic reclamation operation started. This all came from a meeting 5 hours earlier at the reconstruction department central building. A woman walked to the podium, watched by all. She was leader Yeji of reconstruction, who had appeared. The meeting topic involved an operation plan, reclaiming sacred relics. Because during battle with K country's evil warriors, several warriors also stood up for humanity. Fighting alongside them, their operation plan's purpose was recovering warrior equipment, including spears the spear warrior lost escaping. Thinking about Jungsu Park's spears made Yeji very angry. Those areas were monitored by evil warriors, and their followers were present this time. They would use all remaining forces in 5 hours to get these sacred relics back. Yejian saw the crowd debating below and sighed. It sounded nice, saying exhaust all forces, but meant sending folks to their deaths. Now, they just had 100 key people, and under 1,000 regular soldiers remained. Citizens willing to assist numbered under 300. A righteous man spoke up. "We're discussing down here a while. You believe we fear death. We stopped caring about living long ago. For all our fallen friends, staying alive is more disrespectful to them all. We are unsure who uses the sacred relics. After we die, reclaiming them for you. We are not certain if that person really can defeat those evil warriors." Yeji explained that this person is called the Spear Warrior. He is our strongest warrior now. We have no other options, so we must trust him. We just need to do our jobs. We cannot send any children to fight. Retrieving sacred relics is the thing we do. For our warriors currently, the mission to retake sacred relics begins. Evil warriors' followers were too, constantly blocking reconstruction department's members. Under people's unwavering sacrifices, they took back many sacred relics, and the spear warriors' spears were found in the former reconstruction department's big shelter. They were victorious, losing around 500 lives, but they forgot the existence of other people when they moved the sacred shield. something attacked them suddenly. That shadow was the long gone martial arts warrior dude. 15 minutes after reclaiming the sacred relic started, these evil warriors began counterattacking. These red hat guys and that old man were evil warriors' followers. The old man came back to life. A soldier next to him told the old man, "Heard you took vampire warrior's blood. Seeing this is kind of nauseating." Old man scolded, "That's disrespectful to warriors." Then the old man asked the soldier what happened while he was down. The soldier reported saying, "Reconstruction departments searching all over for the warrior's weapons." The martial arts warrior had headed to the shield. Right now, old man saw someone across the building. That person was a stranger. The old man asked where the resurrection warrior was. The soldier said there's no contact. They only heard he was still inside the reconstruction department's large shelter area. The old man now understands the situation. He ties his shoelaces, then kicks powerfully. He's charging straight forwards. The vampire warrior's power boosts him. His target's that person on the building. He reaches the building's top. The person has vanished already. There's a time bomb. The old man goes offline immediately. That earlier person was Yeji. Information is streaming to her mind constantly. Retrieving the shield failed. Other sacred things were intercepted too during the return transport. Successful recovery is still unknown now. They had failed many times, but they lost their previous warriors. They had to advance now. Yeji commanded over the team radio, requesting backup from civilian militia and in Changwon activate the Walking Dead project. It will go there itself. Meanwhile, at a hospital, Metamorphosis Warrior G1 was bandaged in bed. Then reconstruction department personnel entered. The doctor tried stopping them. This patient might die leaving, but reconstruction showed a credential, saying time is limited. We'll explain on the way. The Metamorphosis Warrior Ziyuan was brought to Yeji being her brother. Why he ended up here involved a long-buried truth. The benevolent warriors protect humanity all. Yet unexpectedly, humans use warriors as pawns. After the evil warriors' forces appeared, Country K could eliminate these evil warriors. This ability wasn't technology-based. It was the power of warriors. Those good warriors. The first good warrior was the Golem warrior. Through him only, people learned most chosen warriors were students. Students who disappeared 1 year ago. Among returned missing students, the Investigation Bureau's employees. People screened out those presumed warriors. They successfully found those warriors. These benevolent warriors didn't want the world to end. Moreover, they were active or passive. They would fight the evil warriors. But the problem lay with authorities, who used limited human resources. They didn't let warriors become partners, fighting together against evil warriors. They instead chose throwing them into battle one at a time. Like an arena, and Yijin strongly disagreed with this, because this was undoubtedly sending good warriors to die. One by one, she found the plan's executor. But unexpectedly, the man said these methods came from superiors. They wanted not just eliminating evil warriors. They wanted reducing other warriors with greatest effort, meaning the benevolent warriors. Because they were potential time bombs too. They couldn't guarantee these warriors would never go berserk after so many years. Only by eliminating them gradually through the arena did work. This was totally unacceptable to Yijin. These returning warriors and these students. They could have lived, well, using their own abilities. But now they chose going to war, protecting many millions of their homeland people. Now they treated. Before Yijin finished speaking, the man scoffed, "Stop faking a conscience. You just say this fearing your brother, missing a year ago, might return a warrior man." These words left Yijin speechless. She was demoted lower by that man. Not allowed handling warrior matters. The man also said barring accidents, all warriors would be eliminated within a year. So what happened later, everyone can guess that. The good warriors went one by one, to their deaths facing Min Sikim. And now Yejin's brother came back. He became a warrior. Jiwan, the Metamorphosis Warrior. As a warrior, he must enter the arena. He walked facing Min Sikim. But Min Sikim cannot be defeated by him. The timeline is now back. When the Metamorphosis Warrior was in bed, Yeji was beside him. Her emotions wouldn't calm. She must make the authorities' choice. This was her only option. She must send her dear brother to fight. Please fight for everyone again. I'm begging you, the bandage man struggled, responding. Don't cry, for I agree. The martial arts warrior sits cross-legged outside. He sensed a powerful presence is approaching. The timeline goes to the metamorphosis warrior. Jivan, On's childhood then. He really admired TV heroes. Older students would often bully him. His sister Yeji would comfort him, telling don't cry, do not cry, to be brave like his sister. And now to his sister's request he agreed. He struggled propping up his weak body. He was now disabled with third-degree burns. Even walking was a challenge. The solution was giving him awakening painkillers, drugs to dispel the mental fog, resulting in severe damage to Zhuanan internal organs, but could help relieving pain. Zhuanan tightened a transformation belt after this. His sister also explains the mission details. Zhuanan needed luring the warrior below, away, so they can get the sacred shield. Zhuanan then muttered transform. Blue light fills the aircraft. Zhuanan was now in armor. He opened the door. His sister behind kept crying. Zhuanan turned back and said, thanks for waiting. I'm going now. They knew this might be goodbye, forever. The metamorphosis warrior. This was childish clothing and old-fashioned, but his strength was similar to the sword warriors. Zhuanan battled Minsa Kim for hundreds of rounds. Minsa Kim left him half-paralyzed finally. He was the only survivor. As a hero having severe injuries, he deserved a peaceful passing. People chose differently because he still had work. He was currently doing that work. Zhuanan was heading toward his destination quickly now. He felt a presence familiar. It was the AI in his belt. The AI spoke. The belt's cooling was broken before. The AI told she wanted to transform back fast. Zhuanan said not yet. His fists and body emitted flames already. He said if I stop, those innocent people would suffer. The AI interrupted Zhuanan. Last time you were reckless, you almost died. After such severe injuries, are you still planning to be stubborn? Zhuanan had presently reached the destination. He said to the AI, she told me to do this, so I can't stop now. The martial arts warrior also saw him, stepped forward. Zhuanan directly turned on acceleration mode too. The warrior opposite him slowly saw something amiss, because the Zhuanan he saw was disappearing. The next moment blue light appeared before him, blasting him away instantly. He crashed unexpectedly into a nearby skyscraper. The martial arts warrior easily blocked that kick. He was about to counterattack when Zhuanan raised his left leg up. This powerful kick sent the warrior to the ground flying. Zhuanan followed up his attack. Meanwhile, the martial artist slowly got up again. His talk with Zhuanan showed this foe was super tough to handle, but not impossible to beat. The reconstruction department staff were waiting, monitoring the fight now. Using their gadgets, they found Zhuanan's temperature was 44 degrees, his sweat glands gone. If he kept going this hard, he might burn up. Jian got worried, asking these guys a question. The metamorphosis warrior had lured the fighter outside the safe zone. So where were the choppers? The staff explained then. The bad guys' troops were blocking the choppers from getting there. We see those helicopters now. The bad guys' forces attacked wildly. The reconstruction department team. We are combating these evil forces. But unbelievably, the old man received power from the vampire warrior. He hadn't died. Ordinary people were paper dolls to him. He could destroy them easily, waving his hand. The scene goes to Zhuanan, still fighting against the martial arts warrior. At his best condition, he'd defeat him so easily. But now he was terrible. Every move brought great pain, like thousands of blades slicing. His body was covered in wounds. He was burning his life, literally. Forced to battle now. The martial arts warrior used his killing move, Kayama Ghost Snake Blast. A gigantic green python appeared lunging towards Zhuanan. Zhuanan activated double acceleration mode. The martial arts warrior felt startled. This was how Zhuanan appeared instantly before. His guess was correct. It happened now again. Zhuanan broke straight through that summoned python, teleporting instantly right in front of him, grabbing that head with his strong palm, smashing his head against the ground again. The martial arts warrior's mask was cracked by attacks. With extreme speed, he dashed through the city. Martial arts warrior was a weakling before him. Zhuanan was a man fighting evenly with Minsu, but now he was severely injured already. Rapid movement caused temperature inside armor to rise quite dramatically at this very moment. His body burst into flames. The martial arts warrior stared blankly at this, his skin melting into a paste. blood evaporating, giving a pungent smell off. The extreme temperature rise from that speed overload set his body on fire beyond any human endurance. The martial arts warrior watched all this quietly. He wanted to kill Jivan, not to give Jivan a quick death, but simply because he had to. Then a shell strikes him. It was the reconstruction department people. This strike didn't hurt the warrior. Their attack wasn't to destroy the martial arts warrior, but to buy Jivan some time. Because Yejian rushed over with a fire extinguisher to extinguish the flames on Jiwanan. Jiwanan is lying on the ground now. He painfully asked his sister, "Why are you here?" Yejin responds, "You can't fall, the shield recovery plan stopped. Now, we only got one option. We fight with you against the warrior. This is your final mission, Jonan." The doctor had also arrived, saying Jonan wasn't only burned. His body was disintegrating. His melted skin and blood mix seeping out. If they remove the armor, his body might fall apart entirely. Shiwan kept groaning painfully. How could his sister not be feeling heartbroken? Yeji knew her brother hated her. Meanwhile, the reconstruction departments. People frantically fired shells still at the martial arts warrior guy. But the martial arts warrior's abilities were mystical. He reversed the shell's trajectories directly towards the two reconstruction department personnel. They first felt despair, then vanished completely in an explosion. Yejin was still blaming herself now, but she decided to fight because tragedy must end here. The martial arts warrior watched this, saying, "You people are really troublesome. Why make these meaningless struggles now?" The next moment, he charged straight ahead, towards Zhuanan and other people. Yeji drew her gun hesitantly, standing before Jiwan, firing at that warrior repeatedly. But the attacks couldn't break his chi shield, much less stop advancing. The warrior was going to hit Yeji's face. Jiwan, watching closely, fell deeply into memory. The sunset was bright. Yang and Yuan had been bullied by older kids. Teary-eyed, he glanced at Big Sister. He saw her face full of wounds. Injuries from avenging him she sustained. He asked, "Are you okay, sister?" softly. "I am fine," he replied. But Juanan was not 3 years old. He apologized to his crying sister. "Sister, I am sorry. I shouldn't have you fight. I was so weak watching from aside." His sister paused her steps at that. She held Juanan's hand, then said, "I fought back with one punch. So, it is okay, I fought them. Winning or losing does not matter." Juanan felt his big sister was a TV hero. His sister held her finger up. "If you're feeling really sorry, do you want to make me a promise? When you must exercise seriously, eat well, and become strong later. Fight once for your sister." The timeline now returns to present. A hoarse voice came from dark smoke. "Don't touch her, isn't over yet." He was completely exhausted. He still fought to protect his loved one. How is it unlike the previous Battle of Gods? Minsa Kim asked Shiwan in a question. "Our powers are different. This battle means your defeat. So why fight so hard? What is your reason right now?" Zhuanan laughed, replying, "Your words sound really ridiculous." Zhuanan's right hand pointed at Minsa Kim, mocking him like a supreme god does. "You should explain your reasons. You enjoy killing, treating humans like trash. Do you know your many destroyed families? Now you ask about reasons for saving lives. If I must give one reason, it is simple now. I do not want selfless sacrifice. I want to save people I love." He successfully restrained Shiwan's hand, sneering. "Look at yourself. Your breathing looks miserable. Let me drain you have left." But then Shiwan's old companion was silent, spoke up, laughing almost desperately. It didn't want to ruin the atmosphere, but couldn't hold back. It asked the warrior, was he serious? "You think he has lives to take? This guy transcended biological death already. His state now is like the bottom of a beverage bottle. A straw cannot drink this." Juanan head-butt the warrior violently. "Send him flying back now." Yuan asked how much energy left. "Old friend," the companion spoke. "Is there point in asking? Shine our final magnificent light. Let's take it down now, right at this moment." Massive pressure erupted around Yuan on activating triple power. The martial arts warrior's display was impressive as Shiwanan's. Energy waves exploding all around his body. This was true NHC. He hadn't planned using this. He was really disgusted with this repulsive corpse. And so Wanan's final battle now began. Powerful waves continuously exploded around him. The surrounding field seemed to change from his pressure, changing into a gray-white color. The very next moment, he instantly teleported before the martial arts warrior. Right at this time, A small green snake appeared on the martial arts warrior's arm. The green snake multiplied instantly into many dozens, directly pouncing toward Juanan. He punched super fast to defend. The martial arts warrior also cast spells to pressure him constantly, following a massive energy explosion. This battle round finished. The martial arts warrior clasped hands. He gathered dozens of snakes, combining them a giant python. It lunged at Jivan, following the warrior's hand motions. The giant python swallowed Jivan whole. Juan needed one power burst. The warrior's summoned python became dust. The martial arts warrior formed sword fingers. Purple energy rushed towards Juan. The purple energy's power was extraordinary. Juan could only dodge desperately, but he was still hit. He knew to get close. He approached at extreme speed, engaging constantly in direct combat. The current Juanan wasn't himself. He had fought beyond limits. His palms' feet were ignited by high temperature. But he had to continue going because it wasn't over. At this time in battle, things reached white-hot intensity. The martial arts warrior formed Han Ziel's Chiomahelar, Wraith Explosion skill. This strike was hell connecting to our mortal realm. Jivan could barely resist desperately. His whole body emitted flames. The martial arts warrior didn't stop attacking. Sword after sword gathered above his head. Again he roared loud. "You are breathing your last, disappear now." The martial arts warrior's sword fingers went down. The sword stabbed towards Jiwanan. Outside the battle, his sister observes anxiously. Jiwanan's final battle ended. His and the martial arts warrior's last clash exploded. Both their bodies were ablaze by the battle. His sister called out Jivan's name loudly. Finally, Jivan walked towards her, dragging his burned body forward. He softly said, "I kept promises, sister." The scene changes. The warrior returned home with a battered body. The home was broken like him. Inside lived Grandma, who passed away long ago. The warrior softly said, "Dear grandmother, I'll cook you food after my wounds heal." He was getting up. A figure darted from behind Yijin's subordinates. She aimed a sniper rifle at the warrior. He was then powerless to resist. A gunshot broke that small house's silence. The acting antagonist. His life finally now ended. Let's hear the warrior's story. He was abandoned early by parents. His grandmother raised him all alone. Grandmother always gave him kind smiles, never seeing him as a burden. Grandma stayed with him growing up. She was with him in sunlight, always giving the best for him. Though these were cheap things, they were all Grandma's possessions. This life didn't last forever. It happened after he grew up in an incident. He fell down a cliff. This accident led him to another world. There he constantly was growing. Constantly became much stronger, became the present martial arts warrior. And at last, he beat the Demon King back to his world. He came back home, but Grandma passed away. His whole body trembled then. The department people also came. They felt the emotional fluctuation and wanted to draw weapons defensively. The martial arts warrior now understood. These people hurt his grandma. That very day, he made everyone inside the house die with his grandmother. The resurrection warrior found him then, too. The timeline goes to the present. Yejian's subordinate sent him to his grandmother, the place he deeply longed for. After viewing the martial arts warrior's story, I cry, "What about all of you?" On the aircraft, Yeji thoughtfully gazed the belt her brother left. Their mission was completely complete. Everything after would be up to that warrior. That is the magic warrior. Yerenma is aboard ship at sea. The gigantic Holy Relic Shield was moving to the department's base, and Yaron Ma guarded it here. Because transporting the Holy Relic would not be easy. The evil warrior's army would try stopping them. Then Yenma took her phone out. She called her own mother. Her brother answered saying Mom was okay. Yenma chatted casually with her brother. Her expression was very complicated. She knew this could be her last family conversation. The crew then detected suspicious radar targets. A soldier also reminded Yenma, telling her to be careful about danger. Yenma still hadn't hung up, saying softly, "It is nothing. Compared to then, I am not tired now. Leaving soon, you take care. It is really not dangerous." "Oh, I know it. I am 20, I have grown. You don't need worrying about this. I will contact you sometimes. Yet I love you." Yenma finished her phone call. She lifted her staff, launching an attack skyward. The vampire warrior charged at the ship. He calls Yenma traitor. Yenma coolly responds, "Do you have any right judging others?" With a massive boom, Yinma fires a huge light beam at the vampire warrior. The vampire warrior's move was more spectacular. Endless blood mist swirls around the warrior, then bursts a pillar of blood. The vampire warrior's attack directly meets Yinma's light. Seeing the attack is blocked, Yinma summons Nyankaron, powering up. The initially cute small cat instantly becomes a muscular Nankaran figure. The vampire warrior's blood pillar shoots towards them. Nankaran grabs it hard but is still pushed backwards. Yinma throws her own staff up. It becomes a hammer shape. She ordered Nankaron release the blood pillar. The released blood pillar moved toward Yinma, but her hammer strike unexpectedly scattered it. The vampire warrior hadn't thought she could still fight. Yinma now charged with Nyankaron. The vampire warrior sneered menacingly. "You two gang up, so you're done." Blood wolves continuously appeared around the vampire warrior. These are blood iron magical beasts. At this moment, the vampire warrior covered his eyes weirdly. The very next moment, his whole being turned red like a grim reaper, then charged Yinma. Unexpectedly, these blood wolves were like children before. Nyankaron easily handled Yinma's mighty hammer, also continuously suppressing the vampire warrior. After few exchanges, she successfully found the vampire warrior's weakness. Magical power erupted continuously from inside her body. The ground under the vampire warrior cracked. Then a massive pit opened up. Below there was bubbling liquid. This was Yinma's lava cake caramel trap. Caramel shot upward from a pit. The vampire warrior swiftly rolled away. He dusted off his clothes, then muttered, "I didn't expect you had prepared this. You have made me very unhappy, but you haven't hurt me. You're pretty useless after all." But the magic warrior spoke. How could there be 0 damage? The vampire warrior felt his body freeze completely. The hot caramel had cooled quickly. The vampire warrior began to panic because Yinma was approaching him slowly. She twirled the big hammer. She intended to give a golden headshot. Under the vampire warrior's helpless watch, Yinma's heavy hammer came down. She fatally wounded the vampire warrior. She did not expect this fight going easy. Then blood drops floated up from the floor. Yinma was astonished. The blood formed a big hand wrapping her. She tried summoning her Nyankaron, but suddenly, Nyankaron was held by blood wolves, unable to break away. She was now helpless. The view changes above the ship. The vampire warrior, supposedly killed by Yinma, approached your simple thing. My real body doesn't need acting. The one fighting Yinma was just the vampire warrior's clone. He taunted Yinma. "You fought my clone so long, I'm surprised. The reconstruction department had you be a spy, since you cannot fight real warriors." Yinma then spoke hastily. "Yeah, you stinking punk. I'm weak, so what? Even if weak, I abandoned nobody, or betrayed like you did." The vampire warrior interrupted Yinma scolding. He sneered, "You little brat talking betrayal. I never betrayed anyone from beginning. I was born a demon king to destroy. Besides this body's original owner, the exorcist warrior always believed firmly, so I never ever betrayed anybody. We just have different standpoint." These words shocked Yinma. Let's go back to hear the vampire warrior story. Then the vampire warrior was still the righteous exorcist. He faced off against the resurrection warrior, also the transformation warrior. Their teamwork was formidable with strong firepower, and they cheated regeneration. In this battle, there is no doubt the exorcist warrior was going to lose, but the resurrection warrior spared him. He sensed the exorcist warrior's abilities could be useful. The exorcist warrior realized he was helpless, but he had one last resort. A move of mutual destruction. He pulled out 2 vials. This blood was from a vampire demon king. The very next moment, the exorcist warrior injected the vampire blood. He knew that his personality could be dominated, but this was his only hope. The resurrection warrior watched excitedly, and finally, the transformation warrior attacked the exorcist warrior. There was a huge explosion. A figure emerged from heavy smoke. The vampire warrior's demeanor was different. He actually gave in to the resurrection warrior. The transformation warrior stopped his attack. Sensing this guy's power changed, his aura was completely different. He became a different person. The exorcist warrior now laughed loudly. "Vampire, I am the vampire demon king." This is a vampire warrior's story. Yinma's heart felt turmoil. She knew they all wanted victory. Humans crave victory. It was as hard as reaching heaven. A demon king stood before her. The power within her was quickly fading. The vampire warrior shattered her weapon directly. He mocked, "Without this gem, you are totally useless. Consider the body's original owner." The exorcist warrior trained beyond all human limits. "But what about you? What right have you to face me? Talking about righteousness saving the world. When standing before me, you are not even qualified. You are useless, relying only on weapons." Your own Ma's conviction finally wavered now. The vampire warrior's words are not entirely unreasonable, she felt. She had never used her power to save anything. When family members died, she was totally powerless. It was also like parting with the sword warrior, helplessly watching her companions sacrifice. She remembered past events. Looking back, reflecting, she always seemed to be the lowest presence warrior, the weakest warrior. So what? Should she continue? A cowardly image in hearts before dying. Being a warrior and human change is natural. Euron understood this. Tightly clenching fists, she calls Nyankaron's name loudly. She hadn't given up fighting alongside Nyankaron again. Nyankaron heard his master's calling, instantly breaking free the wolf pack. He took a deep breath, his strong arms extending. The vampire warrior expressed confusion. Mayan Crone sent him flying using one hammer strike. Meanwhile, Yaren Ma also successfully broke free restraint. The power source she always relied upon was now gone. The gem completely shattered. She then extended both hands in front of her. The vampire warriors slowly got up while sneering. Someone having no combat tools could not win, but suddenly he saw a figure walking towards him through smoke. He rubbed his eyes, looking forward once again. It was definitely Yen Ma. This shocked the vampire warrior greatly. She embedded the gem fragments in her fists. Yen Ma showed an unseen smile before saying, "Didn't you say that I am lazy? A woman who just relies on tools for fighting." After regaining her magical power back, Yarma charged towards the vampire warrior again. The vampire warrior showed no fear at all. Their powerful punches collided, creating loud booms. The vampire warrior then felt Yaren Ma's magical power. He couldn't understand a warrior lacking a power source. A fighter not on his level possessed such power, the last flicker before death maybe. He decided to distance himself from Yerma now. She just had gems embedded in the hands float. He then laughed, "Foolish girl. I'm flying, you will hit me how?" Yaren Ma said, "In such case, I will pull you down ground." Neon Koran extended a tentacle after she spoke, wrapping the vampire warrior. Yerma grabbed strongly with two hands. The vampire warrior crashed to the ground. Boom. He lay on ground roaring loud, not understanding at all why. Yenma could resist, could fight him. Why? Yenma's voice resounded again. "Of course you wouldn't understand. You have nothing to protect." Explosive magical power poured from Yenma's hands. Another boom resounded after the attack. Yaren had reached her limit. She felt crystal power flowing into her, through all her blood vessels. She couldn't hold much longer now. The vampire warrior laid on the ground dying. He now took out a small bottle. He said softly, "Had I not wasted power, you couldn't have fought me. How troublesome, it feels like flies buzzing, or a paper cut while turning pages." Yamabi very proud. This thing was accumulated originally to eliminate many warriors, including even the sword warrior. Millions people's blood before Yenma. A massive blood pillar erupted high. Yerma stood stunned. "What is that?" The vampire warrior said, transforming into a true demon king. "This disaster you have now created. Please bear its weight." Many blood spheres secreted now. Many blood arrows like a sea of arrows, aimed directly at Yerma now. Yerma's figure looked exceptionally frail. The vampire warrior waved his great arm. They all flew towards Yerma. Yerma could not worry now. She faced the vampire warrior. Otherwise, more people would die. Their attacks then collided with a big bang. Yerma did not know how long she'd last. Blood penetrated her defense, continuously damaging her weak body. The vampire warrior's attacks became stronger. Yerma could not hold on. She softly whispered, "Is this the end?" She finally had no strength remaining. Countless blood arrows rushed toward Yenma. She quietly closed her eyes, waiting for death. However, right then, a hand gently caught her. Resurrection warrior Songjin Li softly spoke. "I'll be disappointed if you fall now. You haven't finished what you must do. Thousands of blood arrows flew towards him. Saving Yarenma was easy for Song Jinli. His memories spanned over 10,000 years. He mastered the Vampire Demon King's attack patterns. He strolled casually amidst the blood arrows. The Vampire Demon King was shocked at this. He couldn't understand Sungjin Li's actions. It was even more incomprehensible. Sungjin Li had drawn up some grand blueprint. Songjin Li looked, and he said, I once thought you could become a true Demon King, not the half-finished product you currently are. Furthermore, now the Sword Warrior finally joined the Demon King's ranks. The Vampire Demon King was bewildered. When did Minsu Kim become a Demon King? Songjin Li smiled, raising his hand right, saying, You simply aren't useful anymore. He then slowly drew the Sword of Beginning. With 99 plus power level coming from Time's River, he's preparing to get rid this useless half-made thing, but suddenly, the Vampire Demon King laughed very loudly. I also thought you were useless before I let you go. The Resurrection Warrior, after he spoke, he erupted with magical power blood continuously and energy. His mouth endlessly mocking Song Jin Li also. Instantly, countless skeletons and blood arrows rushed towards Songjin Li and the group. Then Songjin Li laughed, saying, Are you talking to me lightly? You think those understanding timelines and temporal veins gain a victorious future. Have you completely lost your mind? The battle swiftly ended. The Vampire Demon King was severely beaten. Songjin Li approached carrying the sword. He then mocked that the Vampire King's patterns were simple. He revived only 98 times, perfectly calculating results, battling the Vampire King, and the optimal solution emerged. And furthermore, he mentioned that the original body's owner, the Exorcist Warrior, made him revive easily 100 times plus. Back at the time, the Vampire King didn't know why Xiangjun Li acted. He believed Xiangjun wanted to destroy the world, so he gathered up warriors. Now Songjin Li laughed, replying, That was never my objective. I watched you destroy the world. This was accumulating retribution and causality for creating a Demon King. The reason I gathered you was so I wouldn't easily die before the Demon King's birth, maybe. If those warriors ganged up on me, I would die before the Demon King's birth. The Vampire Demon King was stunned. He asked him again, Why did you create a Demon King? Is it world conquer? Xiangjin Li burst out laughing. You say conquer the world. You are right, don't joke. You have the Demon King's personality now. That's all you can think. You're going to die anyway. My goal is saving my world. Xiangjin Li prepared to kill the Vampire Demon King with a sword strike, but then the Vampire Demon King grew fearful. He begged Xiangjin Li to stop speaking if he perished. The original owner of the body, the Exorcist Warrior, would also die. Songjin Li's face became somber now. The Vampire King never witnessed that look. Songjin Li addressed Exorcist Warrior, If you hear inside, listen, I am so sorry. This was my only option. You were great warriors. Xiangjin Li even shed some hot tears now. With the Sword of Beginning falling, the Vampire King and Warrior met their demise. Xiangjin Li's face was bloody. Yarenma limped toward him. Xiangjin Li smiled gently. You heard it all right. I do not need explain anything now. Yarenma was speechless too. She truly didn't know Songjin said was real. She believed one thing: Xiangjin Li was crazy. A total psychopath, maybe. Xiangjin Li did not explain to Yarenma. After everything's over, he said, You'll understand. He put the sword down. He did not fight with Yarenma. He raised his hand, saying, Let's go to Jiangsu Park and give that sacred relic. The scene moves outside planet Earth. The Iron Arm Warrior had fallen. The battle had not killed him. He looked up towards that space station, then charged straight after going inside. He threatened that operator activating the command to return. After the operator input the command, the Iron Arm Warrior ended life. He laughed, saying that righteous warriors will find a way to survive.